But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it cleared to be fast, almost the direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It is Wednesday night, and that's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things, you may ask? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, as part of that, well, you're invited to be on this show. We are broadcasting live on The Fringe FM, and we are also streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. And of course, we're taking your phone calls as we consider all the things in the universe, all the weirdness, all of the philosophy that really kind of gets dumped on in the media, and all the things, right? Basically, all the things. It's this show has always sort of been a thought experiment, all right? And not just in the sense of, building a radio show, building a community, building a conversation, but more of a thought experiment in the terms of how far can you stretch some of these things? How far does the universe go? Is it infinite? Is it not? Things like this, right? Like literally the largest questions. If we're a universe, well, how about a universe next to us? How about a multiverse? How about all of these things, right? It's always kind of been that. That's what this has always been. More of those, consider the weird things around us and try and look past science, even past philosophy into, well, realms unknown. And that's what this show's about. That's what this show's always been about. And like I said, those are the things that fascinate me. Those are the things that really get my brain working and make me want to talk. And, well, here we are, 3.5 plus years later, still talking about weird things. And as a result of that, well, like I said, it's less a show, more of a conversation, and you're invited. And what I mean by that is we always have several open lines available, and we also have of course, the Discord. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, we're looking to hear from you, your thoughts on this as we get going. But you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can reach us at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And also, there's a Discord link there. Click on the Discord link. It will give you a direct invite, and you can be part of the show that way. And that's what's going on. That's what's happening with this show. And also, please join the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat. And Discord, of course, is a chat client. It's a voice client, and it's totally free as long as you have an internet connection. It will accommodate you. Works on all platforms, and it's amazing. Like I say, we are not sponsored by Discord, but I wish we were, because they're an amazing company, and it's an amazing piece of software. It is truly bringing people together, instead of how Facebook says they're doing it, but really they're just stealing your data. Well, at least to this point, Discord is doing none of that. So it's definitely one of those kind of havens of free speech, and just literally bringing people together. So I really love it, and that's where you're most likely to find me active on any sort of social media, is going to be Discord. And we got a fantastic group of people over there, always talking about amazing things. So there you go. So if you want to be part of that, one more time, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, and also fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite to both of those chat rooms. They're both part of Discord, etc., so on. Like I said, we are not a commercial for Discord. It's just that amazing. That's the way this works. Okay, let's see. Make sure I got everything properly set. I think everything is properly set. But okay, all right, so let's do this. So what's going on tonight is, as you guys usually know, I just dig through the news cycles, right? That's kind of my superpower, is looking through some of these news cycles and picking out interesting things, and calling out not so much anymore, but it's pretty easy to notice contradictions in these news cycles, and so that's kind of my superpower, right? Is kind of scanning this stuff and going, wait a minute, didn't they tell us the exact opposite yesterday? And that's the dishonest media, right? But anyway, so as part of that, right, as I scour these news cycles and do the rest of that stuff, there's some interesting things that pop up, right? Some interesting things that kind of pique my brain into the philosophical realm, and I love it. And like I said, that's why we do this. So we're as I was doing it, check this out. This is where this conversation begins tonight, and this is pretty amazing. This is from a website called Curiosmos, and I'll link this here if you guys want to check it out. As always, right, you guys always know you can check my links, you can check my sources, you can find the information I'm talking about. So I'm not stark raving mad. I actually have a source for most of the things I say. So here you go. There they are. And here we are. All right, so there's the link if you guys want to check it out. But look at this. This is pretty hot, in my opinion. This is from, again, Curiosmos, and the headline is this: Black holes may store information from the beginning of time. The beginning of time, right? Okay, all right. Here we go. Scientists believe that there might be black holes that formed just seconds after the Big Bang. These objects could contain faint signatures from the beginning of time. And of course, right, it kind of starts to make you wonder what actually is inside of a black hole. And that's what it got my mind really racing with. I was like, hey, what's going on with this? What is inside of a black hole? Are they hoarding information of sorts? Anyway, let's read a little bit about this and just consider the possibilities and then get into this. But let's go. Here we go. So a group of American astrophysicists from the University of California and Columbia University has proposed a way to identify supermassive black holes that originally grew not from the material of ordinary stars, but from primordial black holes that were born shortly after the Big Bang. All right, and so there we go. The largest black holes formed surprisingly quickly, they say, of course, according to the theory, craft, and the math, in less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang, and now shine from the depths of the universe in the form of bright quasars. There are now at least 200 supermassive black holes that existed when the universe was not yet 1 billion years old. Scientists have also confirmed the existence of at least one supermassive black hole that formed when the universe was less than 700 million years old, which is minuscule in universal timescale. That is almost the very beginning. So here we go. In the modern era, black holes are formed as a result of the death of giant stars, when all their nuclear fuel is burned out. As a result of the collapse of such a star, a black hole is born, the mass of which is several tens of times greater than the mass of the sun. This object is on the surrounding material gas and can also merge with other black holes in the future. So that eventually, if she is lucky, becomes supermassive. All right. So now with this said, now this is where it starts to get interesting. If we're talking about black holes, primordial black holes from the beginning, from the very beginning of the known universe, tracing as far back as we can figure to the Big Bang. Well, does that mean they're actually storing information like this suggests? And if so, right, so we'll get into a little bit of what black holes are about, but and what they are and some of the scientific theories on this. But of course the issue is, until we kind of dip in there, nobody really knows. Anybody, any volunteers to put your toes into a black hole and find out what's going on in there? Yeah, right. It's not quite so easy as that. It's a little more complicated, let's say. But in any case, well, if this is the thing, right? And I'm going to point to another movie. Like I said, this is a spoiler alert for like a 10-year-old movie or whatever. But there's this movie called Interstellar. And I won't spoil too much. I've talked about this before on this show. It is probably one of the top 10 movies I've ever seen. And of course, it has to do with the things we talk about on this show all the time, including, right, space-time, including how we perceive time, including, right, do two people at different parts of the galaxy or universe perceive time the same way? All right, depending on where you're at, that whole Einsteinian physics and how, right, density and gravity and all this stuff, right? It's all related. It's not space and time. It is space-time, and it's stitched together. And so if you guys haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. And it's leading us to what we're talking about tonight. That's right, into a primordial supermassive black hole. And what that means, of course, is this. Just like this article suggests. Now, there's an actual paper here, a couple of them. We'll get to that in a sec. There's a paper here, and this is it from the ARXIV, and this is where this information comes from. Nucleosynthetic signatures of primordial origin around supermassive black holes. And so what they're suggesting in this paper, right, I'm not going to read you the scientific paper because it'll put you to sleep, and it might put me to sleep as well. But the thing is this. They're saying that black holes, the primordial ones, the ones that have been around for a very, very long time, those ones may be storing information inside of them from the very beginning. From the very beginning, all the way back. So the primordial ones are the ones that formed as part of that Big Bang. They didn't form as collapsed stars or any of the rest of this stuff and merge with other and gobble up matter and the whole thing, right? That's not what happened. They were around from the beginning. And so the question is, if these black holes were able to retain information from the beginning of, let's say, our known time frame, the beginning of time, as it were, in this universe, then what does that look like? Is that information still available to access? Now, of course, we have a ton of challenges, right? We're talking about, billions of light years away type stuff. Primordial black holes are incredibly massive, supermassive plus. And these things are, right, very much like we talk about on this show, as you might expect to be a Lovecraftian old one. Those sorts of things, right? Of course, now I'm not going to get into are these black holes alive and all the rest of this stuff, but it is food for thought a little bit, okay? So now if, all of those challenges aside, billions of years away, all that stuff, billions of light years away, how about, well, if this information is there and we were able to somehow wormhole our way over, and this information from the beginning was stored inside of these primordial black holes, do you think it's accessible? Because, of course, right, we've talked about on this show quite often, we've talked about the Akashic Record. We've talked about, which of course would be, according to Edgar Cayce and some other theorists and mediums and things like this, that there's a amount of information that's available out there in the universe. That, I like to equate it to the Library of Alexandria here on Earth, tragically burned to the ground thousands of years ago, right? I don't know exactly how many years ago. Let's say 1,500 years ago, something like that, in that range anyway. So the question is this, right? If the Library of Alexandria at the time housed all of human knowledge, what about all the knowledge of the universe? Where would that be housed? Where would you keep that information? And accessible or not, do you think it still exists? And that's the question tonight. That's what's on my mind. As we consider these things, again, larger than ourselves, larger than our planet, and even larger than our solar system, we're talking about the big things. And, as you're aware, I'm unafraid of talking about the big things. It's what we do. It's part of what makes this interesting to me. I don't want to talk about Cardi B said this and Kim Kardashian said that. Sorry, I kind of don't care. I kind of don't care, right? But I do want to talk about what secrets are hiding inside of a primordial black hole. That's what I want to talk about. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So what are your theories? Now, is this akin to exactly that Akashic Record, like I was just describing? Meaning that somewhere out there in the universe, the Akashic Record is all of time combined. All the knowledge of all time combined in one area, in one thing, in one something. And if that's the case, right, of course it's theoretical and all the rest of this. We'll get into some of this as we go tonight. But if that's the case, do you think this could be these primordial black holes that have been storing information since the beginning of our universal time frame? Do you think those could be the front door, as it were, the access to that exact Akashic Record? I don't know. I think that's a fascinating thing to ponder. We've talked about the Akashic Record in terms of abstracts of where it may exist in the universe. But now we're talking about this in terms of, black holes may store information from the beginning of time. And so if you're doing that, thank you, Matt. Matt in California, Great Alexandria Library burned around 375 CE. So I was right-ish, 1,500-ish years ago, 1,800, something like that. But anyway, thank you for checking me on that. But here's the thing, right? If this is what's going on, and like I said, this links to that movie Interstellar. And if you haven't seen Interstellar, and I know some of you haven't, watch that movie. That's exactly what we're talking about tonight. But I won't dip into those spoilers and completely ruin it, because it's an incredible journey, that movie. So do go watch that. It's sort of I don't want to call this a companion piece, but it is sort of fiddling with some of the same concepts that they did in that movie. So anyway, back to this. If there is an Akashic Record and they say that inside of a black hole is a singularity, all right? And that singularity is able to store information. And in that singularity, in the center of these black holes, and of course the largest are the primordial black holes from the dawn of time, as it were, well, what kind of information do you think is there? And is it all of the information? Well, that's what's on my mind tonight. And if you want to be part of this conversation, you can give us a call. As always, we have open lines, and love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord at troubledminds.org. All right, so now, of course, like I said, Edgar Cayce, the Akashic Records, this type of conversation. It's good. This is good. But he's not the only one, all right? There are other geniuses that have suggested things like, an idea is in the air, all right? Meaning that technology has come so far that, let's just say, for instance, as an example, wired technology, all right? So if you can plug something in and get power, well, what would the next thing be? It would be wireless, right? So there's that whole dynamic of in the air. Once wired devices are created, then in the air is the next thing would be, the next logical step would be wireless devices, okay? And so meaning that, not that it's obvious, but that progression comes from somewhere, even though we haven't reached that progression yet. You understand what I'm saying? So what I mean by that is, this. One Nikola Tesla. You guys maybe have heard of this individual. And he said this: my brain is only a receiver in the universe, which is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. And he was actually quoted many times to describe this entire situation as his genius, as a matter of fact, not coming from himself, but coming from somewhere else. And that's what we're talking about tonight. What are your thoughts? If you want, you have an idea about this. What about primordial black holes? Are they actually... have they been holding information since the beginning of time? That's what's on my mind tonight. Just small stuff, just the small stuff. Nothing to do with Cardi B or Kim Kardashian, I promise you that. But, well, you tell me. Love to hear your thoughts one more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm going to be quick because I know you're going to be going to a break.
All right.
Black holes. Okay. In near-death experiences, in the literature, a lot of people claim that after they leave their body, they are pulled into space, into outer space, and they can look down the planet. But then, suddenly, everything goes pitch black. All right, before that white light or whatever. Everything goes pitch black. It's absolutely pitch black, but peaceful. Okay? And what I'm getting at is that pitch blackness is a black hole. All right? When we're returning to where we came from, we're going through a black hole. All right? We are the information that goes into the black hole. And once we're in there, we know everything. That's my thesis.
Okay, so so you're saying those black holes, are they a portal as such, a conduit to maybe the source, or do you think the information is stored there, as I'm suggesting?
I'm saying they're the source from where we came from.
Okay.
You know, this is where our souls come from and enter into this reality, all right? And then we go back there. But we take back to that source, the black hole, all the information that we accrued in the lifetime that we lived.
Okay.
And then when we go into the black hole, when you're talking about the Akashic records, well, we're the ones that brought that information that created the Akashic records in the first place. And that's why when we go through there, we know everything. Suddenly know everything, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about everything.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Fantastic. As you know, we're running short, so you got a minute left if you want to add anything onto that, but I love the idea.
No, that's all I wanted to say, and I'll sit back here in my lounge chair here and watch the rest of the show.
Right on. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Robert in Pennsylvania, always a great call, always great ideas, and we'll talk about that as well. When we pass away, do we go back to that source through the black hole? Did we come from there? Good stuff, Robert. If you dig Robert's calls, and I do very much, go check out his book down below. I have his book linked both on YouTube and on Rockfin, and it's called Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. And do check it out. There's some amazing stuff in there. He sent me a couple books. It's pretty hot. So okay, well that's what's on my mind tonight. So it's not just black holes, because of course that's sort of generic. But what about these scientists are now describing mathematically? It is feasible for black holes to actually contain knowledge or data, as it were, from the beginning of time. And if so, what does that look like? Great ideas from Robert there to kick us off, and I'm inviting you. What are your thoughts on this? Is this the actual Akashic record that science is maybe sort of pointing to now in some capacity or another? And what does it look like? One more time, if you want to be part of this conversation, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More black holes, the Akashic Record, and space-time. After the break, don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And of course, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss, well, primordial black holes. And this information that just came out from scientists doing the math and postulations and all the rest of this, that black holes from the beginning of time may be storing information that goes to infinity and beyond. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. What does this mean if black holes store information? And we're talking about primordial black holes that were around for basically forever. Then what exactly does this mean? What kind of information do you think is there? And of course, well, is this some sort of scientific link to that Akashic record? To, again, right, information in the universe itself never decays, as we say. Energy doesn't really die. It just changes form. So if that's the case, then the information that we're dealing with, we're working with, maybe the information in our brains entirely come from these black holes. Who knows? Who knows? So I don't know what's going on with this. Like I said, love to hear your thoughts if you want to be part of the show tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And you can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Okay, now, let's see. Chris says in the chat, imagine the possible Earths or secrets it would hold. Exactly. So we're talking about literally that would be the secrets of the universe. That would be data from the very beginning. And, we talk about hard drives now, or this is the new thing, too, doing this whole, well, let's do the micro-macro for just a sec here, is that there's these articles coming out where they're describing that the DNA molecule itself is able to store more information than anything we have currently, meaning huge terabytes of hard drives, and like you stack them up and you could store, I think it was, what was it? I'll look it up. It's something ridiculous, like all of the world's information in one strand of DNA, and it's like it still won't even fill up the data available. It won't brick, as it were, from too much information. So something like that, right? So micro, macro. We're talking about DNA strands. We're talking about these primordial black holes. But what is that Akashic record, and what exactly do you think this means? So let's go back to this article for just a little bit. Like I said, as we're looking for your thoughts on this, do you think this is maybe a scientific link to that innumerable amount of information that is either inaccessible or accessible? And of course, right, when you start talking in terms of something being in the air, like the next invention, like we said, let's go to this real quick to go back to that example real fast. This is from Idioms, the free dictionary, freedictionary.com. In the air means this: in one's and or others' awareness, evident in the immediate surroundings. All right? Or everywhere, all about. And there you go. So in the air, in circulation, in people's thoughts. For example, there's a rumor in the air that they're closing, or Christmas is in the air. You see what this is? And so that term, that idiom, that in the air means that information is out there floating around. It's almost like it's perceptible somehow, even though it kind of really isn't. It's a feeling. It's a moment. And so where does that come from? Are we projecting that? Is it coming from our consciousness, projecting that feeling of Christmas in the air? Is it from the crummy music they play in the elevators? Is it from a primordial supermassive black hole? that's marching in tune with our calendar and our thoughts and our emotions. And that's what's on my mind tonight. Like I said, little thoughts, no big deal. It's ain't no thing. Know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's go. Let's read a little bit more of this. Now, that's what I mean about in the air. How these ideas, like what's the next step? What's in the air? You might say flying cars, right? What about flying cars? Is that in the air as the next step of human evolution? What about robots? What about consciousness? What about Neuralink and trading your consciousness into something else? Are those things in the air? I would say yes. They're coming. Even though they're not here yet, as far as we know, they're coming. And where do those ideas come from, right? Is it us? Is it just, again, standing on the shoulders of giants, looking to the future with the hard work of the past at our back? That could be. But I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on this? So again, these scientists have described exactly this. Let's go back to this real quick. Black holes may store information from the beginning of time. And that information, of course, is going to be imperceptible because we don't know. This is all theory craft. This is all speculation. This is all philosophy. This is all cosmological musings. All right? But scientists have done the math, and they say that this is the case. Scientists believe that there might be black holes that form just seconds after the Big Bang. These objects could contain faint signatures from the beginning of time. And if they've been around that long, that means they're collecting everything, right? Everything. Because they were part of everything at some point. But that means, are we? Interesting. Anyway, so let's go back to this. This is now this is what I mean by, can we connect to this? These black holes, their information, they're holding these things inside of the very center of these things. They call it a singularity. All right. Very much, by the way, like they call the universe before the Big Bang was also a singularity. All right. Well, don't get me into how you fit singularities into singularities, but well, that's for another time. But anyway, if that's the case, and these black holes are in these singularities holding information from all time, like I said, how do we access this? Is it possible? And well, we have one of the main geniuses of the modern era, Nikola Tesla. He seems to think this is the case. And of course, I'm making the link. I'm taking the liberty to make the link to these black holes, these primordial black holes that are holding this information. But he didn't make that link, but this is a quote directly from Nikola Tesla. "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." Now, doesn't that sound kind of exactly like what we're talking about here? Anyway, all right, so there's more of this. If you want to go to this paper, like I said, there's all kinds of stuff here. Nucleosynthetic signatures of primordial origin around supermassive black holes. And this is the paper itself, like scientific, like I said. It will put you to sleep if you're not super into this. So like I said, I'm not into reading this to you guys. But let's just read the first sentence or two, just to give you an idea of, well, this isn't just some bad clickbait. There's some science behind this, all right, which is fine. Perfect for this occasion. Here we go. If primordial black holes seeded the supermassive black holes at the centers of high redshift quasars, then the gas surrounding these black holes may reveal nucleosynthetic clues to their primordial origins. And if that isn't science talk that makes your mind buzz, well, I don't know what is. I don't know what it is. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about maybe a little bit of Edgar Cayce. We're talking about the Akashic Records. We're talking about how these primordial black holes, they're saying, actually have retained data from the beginning, from the very beginning, the beginning of time as we know it, as we understand it. And of course, we talk about time, of course, in abstracts here as well on this show because it's part of what we do. It's part of why this is such an amazing thing to me, because everything doesn't have to be a linear conversation. We can talk in abstracts. So what about time as an abstract then? That means that some have suggested, including amazing geniuses like Einstein and Tesla and people like this, that time isn't as we perceive it. meaning that there is no linear time from the time you're born to the time you die, and that's it. That's not it. Every moment in time exists simultaneously. That's time as an abstract. That's time in a sense that we have a very hard time comprehending. Unless, of course, there's a way we can access those slices of time that are always there. So I don't know. You tell me. Interested? Not interested? Love to hear your thoughts on this. If this is possibly primordial black holes carrying information from the beginning, can we access it? Once again, Nikola Tesla thought so. He maybe, again, not primordial black holes, because that was none of that stuff was even conceived of, discovered, well, other than theory craft at the time. And so now these scientists are taking the next step, as it were. So you tell me. Time is a spiral, Matt says. I've heard time is a flat circle. What's that show? I can't remember the show. It's got Matthew McConaughey. It's on HBO. True Detective. Pretty good one there, too. He talks about how time is a flat circle in that show. Anyway, so point is, there's a lot here. There's a lot to this. And do you think that really the question tonight is this? Do you think if there's some sort of information bank in the universe that holds the knowledge of all, can we access it? And if so, how come Nikola Tesla could? How come these geniuses of the world plucking ideas out of the air, the quote, the air, and even say that these ideas don't come from themselves? What is this? One more time. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. Nikola Tesla. And is that the core? Is that the source, as Robert was describing, that we came from these black holes? And so the information, when we go back into the black hole after we pass on, we're taking our information back to it. Is it collecting that data? And if that's the case, that would be data from every life form ever. So I don't know. Like I said, some theory craft, sometimes some deep stuff going on over here. But what are your thoughts? Do you want to be part of this conversation? Love to hear what you think. Is this a real thing? The Akashic Record, scientifically speaking, in terms of a primordial black hole, and is it hanging on to information from the beginning of time? There you go. Pretty big thoughts, but I love them. And if you want to be part of this, what are your thoughts on this? You think this is a thing, or do you think we're just hip shooting? And that's fine by me. Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear them. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. All right, let's go. There's some more here. Now, this is from space.com, and let's go to this and read a little bit of this to fill you guys in a little bit more about what's happening here. So we're talking about the source. We're talking about primordial black holes. We're talking about the Akashic Record. We're talking about Nikola Tesla and how he was able to tap into that somehow. And he couldn't describe exactly what it was, but he did say he knew it existed. All right? So here we go. This is another one from space.com, and this is brand new. This is all brand new stuff. This is only from 9 days ago. The other one was from yesterday. So we have some really brand spanking new black hole type theory craft stuff that's coming out, which I love, right? When you're talking about the secrets of the universe, why not? Why not black holes, right? All right, so here we go. Some supermassive black holes may contain fingerprints from the Big Bang, and this is what we're talking about here, okay? And NASA's James Webb Telescope may be able to detect those faint signatures. And so what would that mean? What would that mean? Oh, yeah. All right. Let's see. Paul M. Sutter is an astrophysicist at SUNY Stony Brook and the Flatiron Institute, host of Ask a Spaceman and Space Radio, and author of How to Die in Space. He contributed to this article in Space.com's Expert Voices, Op-Ed, and Insights. And here we go. The largest black holes in the universe formed surprisingly quickly, and they're saying almost immediately. All right? That's how this theory goes. When the cosmos was less than 1 billion years old. That was so early that these black holes may not have formed from the deaths of massive stars, as some theories have proposed, but instead may have originated in the first second of the Big Bang. In the first second. Like they were baked in. That information, what would you call it? Like where you keep that information was always there since the very beginning, is what they're saying here. That was so early that these black holes may not have formed from the deaths of massive stars, of course, but may have originated in the first second of the Big Bang. To test this possibility, a team of astrophysicists has proposed a radical idea. The elements around these giant black holes may be subtly different from the cosmic average, retaining a relic memory of the young universe. Interesting, no? A relic memory of the young universe. And of course, if that's the case, then they continued with memory as the universe continued and expanded and grew, and as maybe life evolved and passed on. Who knows? What are your thoughts? Love to hear what you think about this stuff. I'm going to read a little bit more from this article, and we're just going to keep on trucking. Talking about big, amazing things. Primordial black holes. Here we go. So they're going to test this. A relic memory of the early universe. Here we go. As the name suggests, these supermassive black holes are gigantic. The smallest ones are millions of times more massive than the sun, and the biggest ones, found in the centers of huge galaxies, reach hundreds of billions of solar masses. Finding such black holes in the modern universe isn't that much of a surprise, since those black holes have had billions of years to gorge on gas and dust, and of course other black holes. But recently, astronomers have begun spotting supermassive black holes in the early universe. Already, we know over 200 supermassive black holes that existed when the universe was younger than 1 billion years, and one that formed when the universe was younger than 700 million years old. And so they're speculating that if you go all the way back, all right, again, in the cosmology of the Big Bang, then in the very beginning, in the first second, split second, however small you want to slice time frames, in that first moment of the Big Bang included these memory banks, as it were, these supermassive black holes that didn't need a star to collapse or a quasar or any of this other stuff. They were just there. They were just part of the whole. And right off the bat, instantly, they were collecting data from the universe and storing it inside of that singularity. So what do you think? What do you think? Like I said, no spoilers. I'm going to try my best, but think about this in terms of if you've seen the movie Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey. That's twice I brought up his name tonight. One, he was in True Detective, which, of course, if you haven't seen that was a pretty hot show. And he talked about time as a flat circle in that show. Fast forward a little ways past that, and we have Interstellar. And we have those slices of time, as we talked about. Can you access any point in history, at any point in the universe, from inside of one of these primordial supermassive black holes? Have they stored all of that information? That's what I want to know. What's up? You got it. All right, all right, all right. Exactly, right? That's Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right. All right, so anyway, that's what's going on. Let's read a little bit more of this. Like I said, the conversation goes around a lot better with you, so love to include you, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. I'll keep yammering on because that's what I do, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think this is possible? And do you think there's a connection here to that elusive Akashic record that, again, Nikola Tesla said this: my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. And is this it? Is this the point? What would be the earliest and the largest primordial black hole? Wouldn't that have it all? Wouldn't that be able to tell you everything you ever needed to know? And of course, like I said, we have problems because, one, we can't get there, right? You got to remote view it or something. You got to astral travel or something like this, right? You can't get there. We can't get there physically. But if it exists, and Nikola Tesla was describing him being able to access this information to sort of create these dream states of experiments in his own mind without direct scientific tinkering and plugging things in and testing and this or the other, right? He says he was accessing something. But what is it remains to be defined. And that's what we're trying to do tonight, just sort of in an abstract way, of course, as we always do. So here we go. Let's read a little bit more from this, and then we'll keep on trucking, talking about this stuff. Like I said, love to hear your thoughts on this. Here we go. Let's see. Recently, astronomers have begun, okay, let's see. They say one of the supermassive black holes that formed when the universe was younger than 700 million years. Now, that means they formed fast. They say too fast. We understand how black holes form in the present era. When a giant star dies, it leaves behind a black hole up to a few dozen times the mass of the sun. The black hole feeds on its surrounding material, finds other black holes, and merges with them, and if it's lucky, eventually gains supermassive status. It's doing it the wrong way. It should have been there in the beginning. But anyway, the problem is that these processes take time. When the universe was less than 1 billion years old, the first stars and galaxies were just starting to form. Generating supermassive black holes in the tight time required stretches the limits of known astrophysical processes. So here we go again. It does not fit. It does not fit. And you know what happens? If it does not fit, you must acquit. Sorry, I had to do it. So here we go. So perhaps the supermassive black holes in the universe didn't originate from normal astrophysical processes like the deaths of stars and a steady diet of gas. Perhaps these giant black holes originated at the momentous early moments of the Big Bang, including, that would be, well, when it all started. And they were collecting all that information, and it seems to me reasonable to suggest that earliest first primordial supermassive black hole is the access we need to that Akashic record. I don't know. Like I said, reasonable, right? Reasonable in philosophical terms and giant, cosmology terms of the entire universe itself. But what do you think? And if there's information inside of this earliest black hole, the primordial black hole from the beginning, from the Big Bang, can we access it? How do we access it? Is it all already built in to the antennas sitting on top of our neck? Or do you think it's something else entirely? You tell me. That's what this is all about, getting together, having a conversation, and I thought this was pretty fascinating. I thought it's one of those ones that's, again, a very large concept, all right? Because we are talking about all the information in the known universe, all right? So there's that. Rohan's podcast is called the Exiled Minds Podcast, like EMP. But, okay, so if that's the case, we have this antenna sitting on our neck. Can we access it that way? Very much like Nikola Tesla suggested. Like Albert Einstein has maybe been able to access. There you go. Steph has it right. Spaghettified. We're going to get to that. We'll get to spaghettified. But it is a scientific term, by the way. Spaghettified. But so anyway, what are your thoughts? Clearly, we can't physically move into a black hole and obtain that information like walking into a library. However, is it reasonable to believe that maybe, again, with the antenna sitting on top of our neck, that possibly, well, we can access it that way? So you tell me, that's what's on my mind tonight. Is it possible that all this could be just a huge data bank from literally the beginning? And if so, could we actually access it? Very much like Nikola Tesla has said. It could change a lot of things, couldn't it? So how do we do that? Is it astral projection? Is it remote viewing? Is it some other sort of channeling? What do you guys think? Love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're talking about primordial black holes holding information from the beginning of the universe. Is there a link to the Akashic Records? And if so, how do we access it? Love to hear your thoughts. Like I said, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
all right, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and this is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Of course, we are live. We're taking your phone calls as we discuss black holes, primordial supermassive black holes from the dawn of time. Scientists have suggested that they are collecting information and storing this data inside the black hole singularity. And I'm equating this to the Akashic record. Do you think we can access this? What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts. And of course, we're streaming on Rock Band D Live, YouTube, and Twitter. Broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. All right, let's do it. We got Jennifer on the phone. Thank you, Jennifer, for being patient and waiting. Let's go. Jennifer in Missouri, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Good. I'm doing good, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you. What are your thoughts? Am I off the rails here?
All right. Okay. No. But I'm really rolling this around and I'm like, okay, what do we have here? Okay, so the human mind, I think, all day long, every day, all of our lives, we're collecting data coming in. There's, tons of information from the moment of, the brain being formed, even in the womb, of information coming in that we don't even remember anymore, and all the way through your life. Now, we think that, obviously, you can't remember all that data, even though it should be being stored in your mind. But there's a theory rolling around that when you go to sleep, all the information from the day kind of gets stored. And we assume it's being stored somewhere in our brain matter. But the body has electricity in it. It's 100 watts and can handle up to I think it ranges from 100 watts to 400 watts. And I guess in some cases go all the way up to even higher than that. I'm not sure the exact number. You'd have to look it up. But, so this data, there's research that insinuates that data can be stored in electricity. So, information can be carried through electricity. Now, let's put that aside. So, perhaps some of the information that's coming in, the data coming in to the human brain and the human experience, doesn't get stored necessarily in the brain, but in the electric current that's going through our body that makes our heart beat, for example. And thinking all the way back to when the heart first started beating. Stars and pulsars and novas and supernovas, those all have a pulse as well. If you think about the idea of how the universe came into existence and the big, what they say, a huge explosion of just boom, this kind of thing, the Big Bang idea. We don't have to go with that because they don't even think that anymore, but it doesn't matter. They say that we are made up of it's 100% true that we have the same makeup like the same types of materials, hydrogen, helium, that sort of all those different all these different molecules and things that are also found in a supernova. When a star dies, when a supernova collapses and dies, it turns into a black hole, right? And then you have the instance of event horizon, kind of the point when things are coming into it that can't then escape, and it's got, and they can even carry an electrical charge. So a black hole can carry an electrical charge. So if when we, at the moment that, okay, there's two different ways I think we can experience the information that might be in a black hole, if this is the case, which I think it makes a lot of sense. If it absorbs everything eventually winds up in a black hole. You can't escape it. So everything's being perpetually pulled into a black hole. So yeah, it makes sense it would be holding all the information ever that existed. Okay, so I think two ways. Maybe the information is always being pulled into a black hole, one, from inside, like there's even such a thing as a micro black hole. So anyway, possibly at the moment of death, people worry about their memories, because it's stored in the brain. But if it's being stored in the electrical current of your body when you pass away, could it be carried in some way because data can be stored on electric currents? Is it possible then that all the information of your entire existence is in the electric current and is then carried into a charged, a black hole, basically, and therefore stores all the information of everyone's experience and observable existence? Now, there's something called Graham's number as well. And this idea is that if you try to think of Graham's number, which is this exuberantly large number, that's almost impossible, but if you had if you had a special kind of brain, if you could think of this number, it would literally create a black hole in your brain because of something. It's called Graham's number, though. Check that out. I think it's N60, Graham's number, but look that up. So I think it's possible maybe upon the moment of the event horizon of our lives, who said that? Was it James? Somebody said something like that about the event horizon, the point of no return or something like that. And so if we experience a point of no return when we go, maybe through the electricity that got us started and the universe itself, I'm not saying it's an electrical universe, but it's a fact that there's electricity inside of us. And we know that the stars are pulsing and there must be, I don't know. There we go. That's all I got.
Okay. Did you happen to actually watch, did you happen to watch that Midnight Mass? Did you get to see that?
No, because I'm going to start it with The Witcher.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
Season 2 of The Witcher comes out.
That's okay. So
I'm going to wait and watch them both.
All right. I'm not going to spoil then. So a lot of the things you're saying there's some parallels. But okay. So I got Graham's number. I won't spoil it. Graham's number. I got it up here. Okay. So, all right. So the thing is this though. Is there a connection? Is there a connection between, like I said, this antenna sitting on our neck, our brain? Is there a connection to this? Do you think we can access this now? Do you think that this is what Nikola Tesla was describing when he was saying that he was able to access whatever was out there?
Okay, so
what do you think about that?
Okay, well, I don't think that we think our own. I think it is possible that we are not having necessarily our original thoughts, but that we are, the thoughts are having us, and they are coming from somewhere. So that I think we think that we're thinking, but if you go into the Eastern philosophies and everything, they say that we are actually being like our. How do you say that? Like that we're not thinking, but the thoughts are having us in a sense. Like we are perceiving the thoughts. We think there are thoughts, but that's not the case. But they are coming in from somewhere. So they're incoming.
Like they're out there. They're floating around somewhere.
In the entire body, we have.
Go ahead.
Yes, like radio waves in a sense, but not necessarily. And if the entire body is, I don't know.
Fair enough. Let's say that drink some maybe juice and say maybe. Maybe's okay. I appreciate it. Maybe. That's okay.
Maybe.
That's totally okay. That's what the show's about.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Jennifer. There we go. If you guys like Jennifer's calls, fantastic stuff. Follow her. She's got a YouTube channel. Just scroll down. I linked her both on Rockfin and on YouTube, and good thoughts. Like she's, you can tell she's spent a lot of time thinking about this type of stuff, because pretty much no matter what I'm talking about, she's like on the ball with what we're talking about here, right? It's crazy. She knows a lot of stuff, so it's a good thing, right? It's good to have allies. It's good to know smart people, and like I said, go give Jennifer some love. Scroll down, follow her YouTube channel, and yeah, good stuff. So we're talking about tonight again. This is exactly this, right? Scientists believe that there might be black holes formed just seconds after the Big Bang. These objects could contain faint signatures from the beginning of time, meaning that they're collecting data. They're carrying data, all right? And if they're saying that these supermassive primordial black holes are carrying data, I'm taking the next step and saying, okay, does that mean that they have all the data from the beginning of time, all right? And very much like Jennifer was saying, if it's opposite, if it's upside down, and we think that we're thinking and we're not, those thoughts are already out there, and we're sort of just absorbing them, right? Then maybe conscious thought isn't us. It isn't ourselves at all. That would be sort of like the universe is more conscious and feeding those ideas to us, right? So who knows? I think this is more of that. I probably botched that, but it's okay, right? That's why we get together and talk about these things, because these ideas are larger than people, larger than galaxies, and we're going as large as the universe, as it were, and that's okay. That's okay. That's like I said, I'm not I'm not afeared of big thoughts, and that's okay. So one more time. So my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. From Nikola Tesla. So what do you guys think? This is the weirdness of all this. There seems to be, again, right, with some geniuses in modern times, and probably if you go back, you can probably find lots of parallels here to people who describe the thoughts already existing. And we merely need to access them. And that's where I'm going with this. If those primordial black holes, since the beginning, are storing this information, is it possible for us to access it? I think that's the thing. Again, thank you. A fantastic call from Jennifer. Give her some love. Follow her YouTube channel. Scroll down. You see the link right there. Looking to hear from you. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Hopefully this is working right. Great calls.
Yeah, good stuff so far. What do you think? Am I too far out there? Am I off the rails a little bit? It's okay if I am, because, well, it's just part of what we do, right? Test the limits.
No, this is very interesting. I do love the possible connections between ourselves and just, I guess it'd probably be almost any living organism, and then these black holes. My thought is, we know that there's energy always moving all around us, and we have energy within us. So I really do feel like there could be something to that idea of the data that we take in being transferred, maybe even to these black holes. I mean, who knows how long it would take, but I don't see that as impossible.
Yeah, well, again, if one more time, like energy, right, doesn't die, it just changes form. You can't get rid of it, and so that's part of this. If that's the suggestion here from the very beginning, it stands to reason, right, that there is, you say Akashic record, and people roll their eyes at you, and they're like, oh, that's woo woo. Well, I don't know. What about this? Like we've had, Tesla described it almost exactly this very thing we're talking about. So, and like, who's going to say Nikola Tesla was not smart? You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense at all. But I'm with you. I like that there may be a connection, that the antenna, right? He says, my brain is only a receiver. And if that's the case, then, well, maybe we can access this. I'm not sure. I don't know. Other than that, what else you got, James? I know it's kind of a big thought, but what else do you think could be inside of a black hole?
I wonder, I mentioned this in the chat, I wonder if there are things that can come and go through these black holes, or at least enter them. Because I mentioned a movie that I saw years ago in the chat, one of the Star Trek movies, and I don't know if you remember this or not. In one of the movies, it was Star Trek Generations. There was this cosmic anomaly. It wasn't a black hole, but it's just a similar idea. I wonder about it, where it would destroy ships that tried to go through it or to go too close to it. But when people entered it or came in contact with it, they would be basically, they would enter it and it would almost be like its own universe inside there that the people could then basically make into whatever they wanted while they're in there. And for each person.
Okay. Interesting.
I wonder if there's any connection between, I wonder, again, I had not heard of that, the first call, Robert from the first call, that the idea of black holes being part of NDEs, that is a fascinating idea. Is a possibility. And so I wonder, again, it just brings us back to, we don't know where we go after we pass. So for all we know, if we have no body, and we're just energy, that means it can basically go wherever. And so why can't it go to black holes?
Yeah, 100%. And when you think in terms of the NDE, the life and death, and like cosmology of the universe, some have suggested, and I think rightly so, that maybe the universe itself is conscious. Panpsychism and all this. It's not just us. It's everything. Everything is consciousness. Literally everything from the beginning to the end. And we're just here as parasites inside of it, right? And if that were the case, right, and I say that, as a self-deprecation, to the human race, I'll just speak on behalf of the human race for just a moment, if you don't mind me, and self-deprecate all of us. But the point is that if we were those parasites inside of this gigantic construct that is conscious, then we are just absorbing the thoughts that the universe is telling us to absorb, right? We can't help it. We can't help but be what we are because the universe is telling us these things. I don't know, man. Crazy big thoughts, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, sometimes I feel like I'm off the rails, but I think it's all right. I think we need to spend some of our time there just for thought exercises,
Yeah, and I love these possible connections between the edges of science and what some people would consider the paranormal or supernatural, and the woo, as you said. I think that's interesting to look at that. I don't think we should have to shy away from any of that. I think it does seem like over time that scientists and people that are making these theories are getting closer to it, with whether they mean to or not. They're getting closer to things that years ago would have thought that people thought were just made up, for sure. Which I'm not saying that any of this is or isn't real or right or whatever. I'm just saying I love it when these things kind of seem to intersect or at least connect.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. What I forgot who said it, but right. What is the term? Technology is so far advanced, we expect it to be magic, right? It's the same thing. It's just, right, how do you get there from describing it as magic to describing it as, well, this is how this works, right? I think very, very good stuff. We got a call right behind you, James. We're going to squeeze it in. You are the best, my friend. Thanks for calling in. Everybody follow James Salcedo Paranormal. His links are down below, both on Rockfin on YouTube. He does streams about the paranormal 3 times a week. You're the best, James. Appreciate it, my brother.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. You too. All right, so let's go to we're talking about black holes, primordial style, carrying information from the very beginning. And if so, Nikola Tesla said that my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. And so I'm suggesting that maybe those primordial black holes from the beginning could be this source, this Akashic record, whatever this happens to be. Let's go to our good friend Lacey in Utah. Welcome, Lacey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing very well. I appreciate you calling. What's on your mind? Do you think, like I said, do you think we're off the rails here?
I don't know. I'm enjoying this. So my thought is the pineal gland. They always talk about, like, if you can be in touch and centered, and if you have, like, a clear pineal gland, you can reach or speak to your higher self easier. At least that's what I'm told, somewhat experience. And research with that is like no fluoride will calcify your pineal gland. And I think that a lot of the things that we put in our bodies, medication or vaccines, foods, it all will affect our system as a whole.
Okay.
So I think that if,
go ahead.
Like, we all have special gifts.
Go ahead.
What were you going to say, Mike?
Go ahead. Yeah, your time. Go right
So
ahead.
we all kind of have like our special like gifts, like be it, you know, you hear people all the time say, "Oh, I can get to the Akashic records," or "I see things like the paranormal," whatever it is. If we really want to tap into that, like, we got to get aligned with ourselves. So maybe there's like two types of consciousness. Sorry. You have like your universe or your world consciousness, and then us as ourselves or our individuals or us as source. And if we could get right with ourselves and like have a clean pineal gland and a clean body and be able to access those gifts in a quicker way and a more respectful way, because if we're respecting ourselves, we are fully respecting others as well, then like we would, like, there's like that fight between good and evil or left and right, us against the government. If we could all get in line with ourselves and our pineal glands and our gifts, we could totally overtake the government or the elite or whatever it is that we feel opposed against.
Right. Like, the answers are there. We just need to, again, I agree with you 100%. Like, respect ourselves, respect the sanctity of the human being, understand we're different, but also the same. And it's our strength. It really is. The fact that we are different, but we are very much the same. We share so many of the same experiences. Why wouldn't we be? Why wouldn't we? It just, it's ridiculous to think otherwise. You were the best. We're out of time. Final thought, Lacey. Thank you so much for the phone call. Anything else?
Final thought. No, I think it's an interesting topic. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call. Lacey in Utah, you're the best. There you go, the pineal gland. And so what do you think? Fantastic stuff. Amazing phone calls as always, guys. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds by Michael Strange. We're talking about black holes from the beginning of time. Can we access the knowledge contained within? Well, we're going to keep thinking about it, keep talking about it more. Troubled Minds after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And, of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're talking about black holes of the primordial version, the very first black holes that developed at the Big Bang, or at least at the beginning, whatever it is you believe happens at the very beginning of time. Now, if those black holes have been withholding information, storing it, as it were, inside their singularity, as scientists just suggested, do you think it's possible for us to access that information in any capacity? And Nikola Tesla thought it was the truth. So looking to hear your thoughts on this. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And let's do it. Let's keep on trucking, talking about this and all the other things that make life worth talking about. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Let's go to our good friend Austin. What's up, Austin in Michigan? Welcome to the show. How are you, man? What's going on? Actually, hold on. Let me unmute. Okay, you're good. You're good. What's happening? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in. Seems like another good time, too.
Sure.
Lacey's call was excellent. I just tuned in halfway at the end of James. I think also affirmations can help with your frequency as well. Like I was talking with some other good friends of mine yesterday about things that we say to ourselves every day. And like when you do something that you don't like, so you kind of like send that energy out a little harder by saying, you know, F this, F that, or like, God, you know, all those things, God damn it, instead of God bless it, you know. And I don't hear anyone doing this. It's been something I wanted to practice for a while. I did for a little bit, and I noticed a difference in how I felt and how I thought. And I think that all factors into your frequency, your intention, your thoughts, and what you speak out into existence, and your action. But it seems that action is where most people lack. And I know this isn't like on top of the black hole thing, but black hole, it's like, this is a huge subject. Like, we just talk about what we think might have something to do with it to some degree, and it's almost like everything does and doesn't at the same time, because what is a black hole? It's like supposed to be the opposite of everything, so it's like nothing, or is it where everything gets sucked in to nothing?
Right.
So
or is it a giant primordial monster?
Subject, man.
like a Lovecraftian old one. Yeah, man. I think that's the weirdness of this, is that when you're thinking in these scales, right? Like I've said before, if you say what's big, a Mack truck is big, yeah, that's big. The moon is big. The moon is big. No, a supermassive black hole. Now that is big, right? That's big. So to me, it's good. Like, even if we can't really define these things, yeah, it could be small too, right? Because in the center of it's a singularity. It's a singularity. You're right. So the supermassive black hole supposedly is a singularity in its core. All right. But it's literally so giant that it's gobbling up galaxies. It's the same thing. But of course, right, it is that micro macro together. But the reason I love talking about this stuff is because it snaps me into this sense of, like I make fun of myself with my big ego and all this stuff. You know, my ego's the size of the sun. But by comparison, I know I just said this, but even by comparison, it's still nothing. That's still nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you want to beat your chest and howl at the moon and go out there and, we are human, hear us roar. But then it's still going to like echo out into darkness for eternity. You know what I mean? So maybe nobody hears you roar. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
You need to step up your ego. It's not big enough.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the answer. The ego needs to be bigger. Oh, geez. All right. So I like it. The affirmations, and you're right. We were talking about this just recently, that affirmation stuff and, actions and all the rest of that. So do you think then, in terms like Nikola Tesla said this, my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. Do you think that maybe this black hole stuff we're talking about, maybe it's not related? We're talking about sort of the Akashic record or just the knowledge of the universe in general. Do you think it's possible for people to access that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in a way, I think it is, because it is related, because if you want to learn about the black hole, maybe that's how Einstein and Tesla, I don't know if Tesla necessarily learned much about black holes, but I'm pretty sure Einstein did. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly how they did it, through understanding that.
Yeah, somehow connected.
That the brain's a receiver. That quote was so big, it honestly put me in a black hole in my mind. Like, I'm just like, whoa. Like, so that means everything I learned could have actually just been like cosmic frequency passing through me, or maybe your higher self is connected to this. Oh man, I don't even, like, there's so much we don't know about black holes. I mean, what was that one thing Einstein said about it? What did he have, like a formula about it? It wasn't EMC squared. That was like for the nuclear thing, right?
Well, his
I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, his big theory was general relativity. That was the space-time, the curvature, that whole thing with gravity being in those sort of gravity wells. And space-time is not two things; it's one thing combined. That was his whole theory, right? That's Einsteinian physics there. But the thing is that I think in those terms, right? You got to think if the universe itself is that space-time, it's like a blanket, right? And if you set something in it that's so heavy, you get that dense sort of, like set something on a bed, like a bowling ball on a bed, and it kind of sinks, right? And that sinking is that gravity signature as he describes it. But again, that's still a point of contention. People still arguing that ad nauseum. But just in terms of that, what if below that, when you get something so large, it punches a hole? And, well, maybe, who knows? Maybe that is the secret. The secret of this universe is not in it, it's outside of it. And those supermassive black holes are punching holes to that source or whatever. I don't know, man. This is, like I said, big thoughts, and that's why I love doing this type of stuff, because where else do you get to talk about this? I don't know. So what are your other thoughts on this, my man?
Yeah. I think that if you can find it in the macro, you can find it in the micro, for sure. I feel like with the principles of polarity or duality, like what is as above, so below. I know that's kind of like a controversial one, but I honestly think there's a lot to that, because there's a lot we discover on the micro every day, and it's way more overlooked than the macro. And it seems to reflect the macro on many, 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 many levels. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was, like, if we can create, like, oh man, I was going to say this, but it sounds crazy, but what if we can make many black holes? Like, and we do, and we don't even know it. Like, we actually, like, super, super molecular black holes, and maybe that has to do with how we get this receiver thing. Like, maybe we just, you know that one quote, like, if you gaze into the abyss, it'll gaze into you?
Yep.
It makes you wonder if that's literally you creating a mini black hole, and then you connected to a black hole just by, like, thinking about it.
The abyss
and
is
then
the
it
black
kind of
hole.
like,
yes. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it, man. Again, right? And again, the micro, macro, they talk about CERN and how, they're smashing these tiny, tiny particles and trying to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? But what happens when you do, and this is the crazy, scary part, what happens when you do create that, see, I'm doing it. If you make that, anyway, you'll see the joke if you go back and watch the video. But if you take, like, the singularity, if you create a singularity, and it's literally exactly that, the smallest possible point, and they do it by smashing atoms together, and you create that black hole singularity, then you create a black hole, right? You open up a black hole of sorts. And so, yeah, I don't know. So something so tiny becomes gigantic, because then it starts that vacuum decay, as it's called, and just gobbles up the earth. And there we go. There we go. Fantastic stuff. I appreciate it, brother. What other thoughts you got on this?
I had one more thing. John Titor, he talked about how they had these little space dimensional traveling devices, he called them. He explained that time travel isn't time travel, it's dimensional travel. And he explained that they had little mini black holes in these suitcases that they would use to travel through dimensions.
Really? So they were traveling through the black holes themselves?
Yeah. They had, like, created little black holes in these suitcases, and they used them to travel dimensionally.
Okay, so then that's is
what John Titor was thinking.
Okay, so that sort of is the theory, that the black holes punch through our time space and give us access to something else, whatever is next door, meaning the next universe type of thing, next dimension. I love it, man. I love it. I don't recall that part of that story, but that's a pretty deep story. We got into that a while back, and we did 3 full hours. I think 3.5 hours on John Titor and that whole bit. And there's so much that we never got through all of it. But always great stuff. Austin here, a good friend in Michigan. I appreciate the call. He's got a YouTube channel. Check it out. He just started. It's Short Quick is the name of it. I'll put the link down here tonight. I actually haven't yet. Please remind me to do that, Austin, tonight. Remind me, and I'll get that on there. But go give these folks some love. I appreciate the call tonight, my man.
Yeah, we'll see. I might accidentally forget to remind you again.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, we'll get it worked out. But anyway, Short Quick. Just search it. You'll find Austin. Appreciate the call, my friend. You're the best. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, have a better one. Thank you.
Thanks, man. You too. There you go. All right, so we're talking about black holes. We're talking about the primordial version, meaning that they were actually around at the beginning of the universe. All right, all the way back. And so they've described black holes as actually being a singularity, a point. All right, just a point, a singularity. And so that tiny bit that's been around forever has been collecting information since the beginning of time. And so my question tonight is this. Is it possible then that if you have the earliest black hole collecting information forever, as far as we're aware in, Big Bang type cosmology, in that sort of scenario, is that earliest black hole actually the Akashic record? Is it storing everything the universe has ever known? Anything has ever known, stored in there. And if so, if that's possible, can we access it in any way? Nikola Tesla thought so. Again, with this, I'm going to keep going back to this because I think this is the most pertinent thing. This is what the question is on my mind tonight. Nikola Tesla said this: "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." And this is a big one, right? That says a ton right there. And it's coming from one of the, foremost geniuses of modern times. So I think it's hard to refute. He thinks that these ideas were not really his own. He thinks he was able to access some of this information somehow, but not penetrate its secrets. So yeah, pretty nutty stuff. As you know, we're doing our thing, talking about this and considering all the big ideas of the world, of the universe, and everywhere and beyond, the multiverse even, micro and macro, and we're just having a good time. If you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. There's a lot here. I get it. There's a whole lot to think about, and sometimes the ideas, like I said, are a little big, and that's okay. Little big is fine by me, even if it ends up kind of being a dud and doesn't resonate. That's cool. But check this out. Let's go now. Speaking of time travel, John Titor. There you go. Nice segue there, Austin, which you had no idea was coming, but maybe you were reading my mind somehow. Maybe it was in the air. I don't know. But here we go. This is from ScienceAlert.com. This is brand new, and check this out. This is crazy. These theoretical black holes could erase your past and mess with your future. As we're talking about black holes here and the primordial version and all the rest of that, check this out. File this one in the black holes are weird. Back in 2018, a team of mathematicians calculated that some black holes in an expanding universe like ours can press the reset button on the history of their contents, effectively erasing the past and turning the future into a giant question mark. Exactly what this would look like from an observer's point of view is anybody's guess. But if it turns out to be true, we might finally have a solution to one of the biggest questions in modern cosmology. Holy smokes, right? What does that mean? So all that information in the black hole, if it's being collected, what happens if it gets erased? What does that mean for the rest of the universe? Anyway, if we follow the laws of physics to their logical conclusions, all the mass of a collapsed star gets squeezed into an infinitely small point called a singularity. That's a little like saying there are volumes of space that keep secrets from the rest of the universe, places where physics itself crumbles apart. Now, to deal with this breakdown between the rule-based universe as we know it and these here be dragons parts of black holes, physicists apply a little thing called cosmic censorship. Two of my favorite things. The censorship comes in two flavors. One suggests there's a barrier inside black holes deeper than the event horizon most people have heard of, beyond which physics is effectively canceled and nothing can be predicted. This barrier conveniently seals off these troublesome singularities from the rest of space and time, preventing their lawlessness from becoming a pressing issue. There you go. You think it didn't get bigger? Well, we're getting bigger. This is getting crazier. All right, here we go. Meanwhile, a stronger version of cosmic censorship holds sacred the idea that there's no such thing as physical lawlessness. So it would require making this barrier disappear and let physics continue happily in some form. And so, well, here we are. Here we are. Quote, people have been complacent for some 20 years since the mid-90s that strong cosmological censorship is always verified, said Hines back in February 2018. We challenge that point of view, he says. And this is Peter Hines, a mathematician for the University of Berkeley. And he's not so sure that there's a censorship between that singularity inside the black hole. See, I did it again. I got to go this way, right? You do that and they call you racist or something, right? But I'm just trying to make a little point, a singularity. There you go. If there's a singularity and it has to be censored from the rest of the universe, or it'll cause problems, right? That's the issue here. That's what they're talking about. And there's two versions of this in the black hole. And they're saying that if it does collect the information we've been talking about, well, is it possible to also erase it? Listen to this. This gets crazy. This gets even crazier. Hines and his team were studying hypothetically charged non-rotating objects called Reisner-Nordstrom decider black holes. Theoretically, these kinds of black holes would have a barrier called a Cauchy horizon, C-A-U-C-H-Y, not to be confused with Fauci, because that would be a whole different thing, and don't get me started. But advocates of strong cosmic censorship models have argued that these horizons have been obliterated by the singularity with even the slightest deviation in the gravitational pull of a collapsing star, which should rule out Cauchy horizons in favor of these strong cosmic censorship models. All right. The 2018, the 2018 study shows how the two could technically continue to coexist even with such disturbances, but only when the universe surrounding the black hole is expanding at an accelerating rate like ours. Yeah. The reasoning behind this conclusion is pretty heavy, but here's the TLDR version, which we just kind of did. You guys can check this article out if you're into it, but yeah. Check it out. So what happens if, let's say the Akashic record is its thing, okay? And if it is, and the primordial black hole like we've been describing all night is collecting all of the information the universe has ever known, all right, into that singularity, all right, into that little point. And in that point, what happens if it gets erased? What happens if all of the information from the Akashic record, as it were, gets erased? Meaning, check this out. We talked about the Library of Alexandria as we started tonight, right? And in terms of the universe, this would be that, all right? The Universal Library of Alexandria. So what happens if somebody hits the reset button on that singularity that supposedly holds all the information the universe has ever known? What happens to the past? What happens to the future? Does it throw everything all over the place? And I don't know, you tell me. Love to hear this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Got a couple minutes left, still taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's see. I'm not sure exactly who this is, but what's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Tim from California.
Tim in California. Springs. What's up, my brother? Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? We got about 3 minutes, so go
Not
right
much,
ahead.
man.
Go right ahead.
Holy cow. I'm going back from an old one, all the Earth thing, the problem that we're facing. Flat Earthers are right. There's something that the Flat Earthers have. It is still a globe. It's just we don't understand the true dimension of the sphere we live on.
Okay. Meaning what? Like, can you explain a little bit?
Meaning the Earth is so much more gigantic than we think it is.
Okay, like the larger theory, where there's a whole bunch of different spaces unexplored and all the rest. I've heard that before. How does it relate to this huge cosmology? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It just dawns on me that it's how could globe and flat Earth both have scientific experiments that are correct, and it's only because the globe earthers have it right with that 15 degrees of movement per minute, but the flat earthers have it right with the refracting. You look at a point out into the horizon, and it's way longer than it is. And it's just because we live on a bigger sphere than we think we do.
Okay.
And then there's the lie. It's like, there's a lie.
Gotcha. And well, in a big contradiction as well. And so sort of in terms of just the Earth, but universal style, you heard the conversation about the black holes. Do you think that fits into that, or do you think it's something completely different?
Well, I'm sure it fits into it because all conspiracies are one conspiracy, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The conspiracies, it's one conspiracy, and we are conspiracy theorists, and we talk about this and that, but it's all one conspiracy.
Yeah, well, the conspiracy is we don't know everything. That's the conspiracy, and so we're trying to figure it out. That's the big conspiracy. All right, what else you got, my friend? We got about a minute left. Go right ahead.
Oh, that's it. I wish I could listen to you live. I just always listen to the podcast, and then if I'm at the correct time of night, call in about. I'm sorry I didn't call in about about what you were talking about today, but that whole globe Earth thing is very true.
Okay, that's cool.
And we do have a hollow Earth, and we are on a globe. We just don't fully comprehend the size of the globe we're on.
All right, perfect, my friend. I appreciate the call. Thank you for listening. Where did you find this, by the way?
Down the rabbit hole.
Oh, down. Fair enough.
Down the rabbit hole on Spotify.
Spotify. Down the rabbit hole on Spotify. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate the call. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to speaking with you in the future. Okay.
I can't wait either, man.
Thanks, brother. Have a great night.
Have a good night, bro.
Thanks, you too. There we go. Simple as that, right? Phone number works, and got lots of good people thinking, what is the world we live in? And I think that's what this is all about, right? What does all this mean? And hopefully, we can call this the Troubled Mind Social Club. It's starting to get there where it's okay. It's okay to think things. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to do all that, and that's why we're here. That's really the basis of this show. It's okay to be wrong. And it's okay to speculate, and it's okay to do these things. And we're not hurting anybody. As long as you're not hurting anybody, well, that's what this is all about. And as we complete tonight, we're done on Fringe FM. But here's the deal. So we will be doing one more hour. If you're listening to us on any other platform, that would be the podcast feed. That would be all of the streaming platforms. If you're listening to us on Fringe FM, we're finished for the night. But stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. And as we continue, one more hour of Trouble Minds coming up everywhere else. Fringe.fm, Joe Roop Lighting the Void, and get out of here. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. We are off the Fringe. Here's what we're going to do. You guys know the drill. We're going to have one more hour of Troubled Minds, and we'll just keep on trucking. If you guys are interested in this, we're going to keep on talking about these things. And I know it's big. I I understand that I ask a lot of you to call in and talk about things that literally nobody out there says, hey, let's not talk about Kim Kardashian or Cardi B. They're like, hey, let's talk about supermassive black holes from the beginning of time. Well, that's what we're doing tonight. So if you want to be part of the show, love to hear from you. We're still doing this at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. 957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back with more Troubled Minds. Here you go. Here's some more music, and we got a phone call coming in. We'll take that in just a moment. So let me make sure I am here for the phone call. All right. So I see you there on the phone. Hang tight. We're going to just take a couple-minute break. We'll be right with you. And here's some music. So more Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're talking about supermassive black holes from the primordial universe. They're saying now that scientists have basically discovered, or mathematically discovered, that there are supermassive black holes that are so far back in the universe that there shouldn't have been time for them to naturally evolve. And so as a result, they think they were part of the Big Bang itself, or whatever the beginning was. And at the beginning, we talk about black holes as a singularity collecting information, because all the information that they gobble up goes into that singularity. So here's the speculation tonight, is it possible that that black hole itself, the very first one, that monster, massive, whatever, Lovecraftian old one, whatever you want to call it, that thing has collected all the information the universe has ever known? And if that's the case, can we access it? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. Good night, Fred. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's go to, not sure exactly who this is. Welcome to the show. What's your first name and where are you calling from? Hello, hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the show. What's your first name? How you doing, man?
Oh, hey.
Joseph. What's happening, my man?
I'm calling from Iowa. Hold on.
Cool. No problem. Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to the show.
So I called, you're talking about a knowledge from like a black hole.
Sure.
Right?
Correct.
So I'm the one that had like the experience.
Okay.
That I wrote in the chat.
Okay.
So I believe that to be like, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. I mean, I write a lot about it. It's hard for me to, I run a high vibration, so it's hard for me to talk on the spot about stuff. But I mean, I believe it's like a collective, like it's like a collective consciousness. That's what I believe. And it can channel through people, especially innocence. It's ridiculous. And when I had my vision, I had like a feeling to write about it or to choose another path and forget about it. And I felt like that was engraved in me. Like it was almost like an instinct. Like this has happened before. Now what do you want to do? So then I wrote decisions, paths paved in gold. The old tales say, nobody knows where they go to this day. So I've been kind of like at war with myself, and not really at war, but just trying to figure out what I saw. Like, and then I realized trying to comprehend the unimaginable, because what I saw was like, it's like too much. It's like you walked somewhere where you're not supposed to walk.
Okay. Like, again, accessing that point, maybe that singularity, that Akashic record, as it were. So what did you see? Like, I'm trying to go back and find the account here. I can't read all the chat as we're doing this. I'm trying to coherently speak, right? Let's see. Are you the one? Are you Hydro Hose? Is that you on YouTube?
Yeah. So it
okay. Cool.
It happened. Like looking back at it, it happened in a flash. Like, but it not when it happened. When it happened, it felt like a long, like time, like was different. Like it. But then looking back at it, it was almost like a dream. You know, you can live or you can have like a really long dream, but like this looking back, it felt like an edit. like it felt like a little slice of memory where like the more you look into it, the more you're finding, but then the more you're starting to lose what you originally found, because it's so fucking hard to comprehend that it's like you're watching it through a filter again.
Okay, interesting.
So then the more I wrote about it, the more it diluted. It dilutes and it dilutes and it turns into poetry and story, basically.
Okay, so it's abstract even. It's becoming more and more abstract the more you think about it. But so were there, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, were there any hallucinogens involved, like a DMT or something like this? Or did it happen in a dream?
No, this happened from like I was playing a video game and I stood up and ran upstairs real quick, and it was like, it started almost like a vibration, like almost like you're getting like lightheaded, but I was a lot younger when this happened, and it just kept going though. And then all of a sudden, like everything turned to water, like almost like it deconstructed and pushed to the side. Like it's really hard to like look back. Like I said, it's diluted by now.
Yeah. Well, sort of though, like you're passing through a waterfall, right? Something like that. Like that, we've talked a lot about primordial, I can't remember the term. Night Stalker is going to call in next; he'll correct me there. But we've talked about water being portals, right? That sort of thing. So you felt a water vibe with this transcendence.
Well,
this experience
it was liquid.
Liquid. Okay.
But in between, it was a fabric.
Okay. Interesting.
Like inside, it was like you're there. And like you can like feel the fabric, like you're going through it, but like it's like the faster you go, the more shit is changing around you. Like it just like you pass the recognizable shit really fast.
And then everything seems like you're in some kind of Salvador Dali.
The thing that trips me out
go ahead.
The core.
The core. All right,
so the core is where you go into oblivion. You change. Like I was aware through the portal. Like I felt fear, but the core is where I got my inspiration to write it from, because I got like a message. Like I translated it to "Don't mess with me," "Believe ET," or "X monkey." Like all this stuff I translated it to, but like when I hit the core, the speed changed. It was oblivion. It was like a moth in the light. It was like, it was weird. And then I orbited it and left the darkness. I mean, this is just, I don't know if this is what you see before you die, or like if I know other people have felt it or seen it, but it's not out there very often.
Yeah, you're kind of
because I've been writing about it for years.
Yeah, you're describing a little bit about what Robert said when he called in first tonight about how this black hole thing we're talking about is possibly part of that near-death experience situation. So let me ask you then, what happened to you physically while this was going on? Did you collapse? Did you pass out? Was it just like time didn't seem to pass? It was like the blink of an eye and then you were back? What happened to you physically while this was going on?
I woke up on the ground like hot sweats, like my heart. I call it the heart portal in some writings, because like it was powered by my heart. And when I woke up, it was like shock. Like I went to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack.
Okay. And so did anything happen? You were okay physically? They checked you out and you're good?
Yeah, nothing was wrong.
Okay, that's good. Interesting. So do you have any idea what triggered this? What brought it about?
I don't know. A lot of like bad things happened. Like a series of unfortunate events happened after that. Like I would say they're not like terrible, but they're not things that you want to experience. And I think that might be connected. Like it's like a spirit or something. I don't even know, because I got a message. Like when I got to the core and I walked away from it, I charged in the darkness. I wrote, confidence. It is as if I left family for war. Screams even as I motioned to darkness from the presence of the source. So while I was out into the darkness, it screamed at me. And I looked back, and this source that was perfect was no longer perfect. It was reaching for me. It was like an entity of, it sounded like a village. Like I described it as a village on fire with screaming women and children.
Okay.
That's how I described it.
Okay, but it wasn't that. It was just, that was the feeling you got. You didn't see that physical thing. It's just, it felt like that. It felt like some kind of rape and pillage war type of situation going on, right?
No, like it was, I didn't see, no, that's what I heard. But like, it was a source. Like I was seeing, like, it was like it's like a core. That's what I call it, the core, because that's where I stopped. That's where it all the shit stopped. Like all the design, all the patterns, all the weird fluids and shit like that. The faster you go, and then you get to this point, it's almost like, I don't know.
Okay, interesting. So let me ask you then, have you, since that moment, this is a long time ago, you said, have you had anything similar happen since?
Yeah. No.
Okay. It was just a one-time thing. Did it
I twisted my mind into it. Like, I really got into this. I wrote like a war. Like right now, I'm in a pretty good condition, but like I triggered myself to think like the whole world was like a game at one point. Like it was deep. Like I thought like there was like a war that I couldn't even comprehend, because the message that I got was like a threat with love. It was like it was trying to tell me something.
That's bizarre.
And then I see the world, and like I'm like, what am I? I don't know.
All good, man. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. So maybe you did trip into this by accident. Who knows? I'm going to read your account here on YouTube real quick. He says, you see everything. It all breaks down in front of you. The essence, the air itself. A complex design pulled into the void. You gain momentum, locked forward, only slowing to what seems. I saw the whole world collapse in this vision that I had like way back in my past. I bet you couldn't picture that. I got a whole lot of issues. God isn't fixing that. And like I was saying to you earlier, it's not. Yeah. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's, as always, right? You're a human like all the rest of us, my man. We all have our struggles, and that's the way this goes. But I wonder what you got a glimpse of. Interesting. Did it? Were you religious before that? Did it make you religious after? Well, did anything change in that experience?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that changed was like the way I think. Maybe like I really, not much changed. I didn't become religious. I seeked a little more, and I started spamming my message. Like I had the urge to spam it. Like I wanted to share what I saw. Like it was, I just describe it as like being an ant. Like an ant that just found some honey and is like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you.
That's exactly how it felt. I felt like an ant who just found honey.
Interesting. Okay. All right. You're the best, my friend. Did you write this down anywhere? Do you have a website or anything? Are you doing any of this where people can follow up on this?
I'm making it an actual. I'm making it Well, I got like a little business that I'm starting, and I'm making like a video game thing, and it's in real life. It's like it probably won't hit off anywhere, but it's like I'm making my story inside of the script.
Okay, that's cool. Do me a favor then. Hey, remind me your first name again, pretty please. Joseph. You no last names. You don't have to tell us last names. Joseph. I appreciate the phone call, my man. Do me a favor.
Okay.
Number one, where did you find us?
I think I was looking for people to spam
like Facebook?
My message to.
Facebook or where else? What do you mean? I'm just curious.
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay, perfect. Just curious. I'm always looking for how people found us because we'll do more of that. Joseph, you are welcome here, man. You were in the right spot. I appreciate your account. If you get something going, let us know. We'd love to follow up and hear your versions of these things and the world you live in, man. You're one of us.
Yeah. Hopefully, I do get something going.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you so much for the phone call. Thank you for listening. And this is the type of stuff we talk about just about every night, man. We're all over the map on this stuff, and you sharing that experience is a blessing to me and to us. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Appreciate the call. Look forward to talking to you in the future. Have a great night. There you go, Joseph in Iowa. Good stuff. So I don't know what anybody have experiences like this. That's good stuff there. And what does all that mean? Like if you kind of step off into a different something, like that's a different reality, right? That's literally a different reality. It's pretty deep. What's up, Free TV? I see there. Allegory of the Cave. Spiritual sounds like madness. Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? So if you were let's say enlightened, even in a generic definition of that term, many people would just think you're mad, right? I mean, yeah. Anyway, great stuff. So I don't mean it like that. I'm not trying to be contentious here. The whole point of this whole show is like we get together, we share our ideas, experiences, this type of thing, and it's a non-judgmental thing, right? There's no answers here as far as I'm concerned. It's just the most important thing is respecting each other and the rest of that. So just to let you know, that's where we're at with this. And so we're talking about the information of the universe, primordial black holes. They're saying in these articles that the very first black hole is possibly harboring all the information the universe has ever known. And so there's a ton here that we can get to and talk about, but we're taking your phone calls as well. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Go to troubledminds.org, and there you go. Let's go to our good friend, Derek. Derek in Massachusetts. Welcome to the show. What's up, brother? How are you?
Going on, brother? What's happening? Great show.
Thank you. Talking about crazy stuff. This is the Night Stalker. What's up, man? I'm sure you got some ideas about this. What about this black hole stuff? The primordial black hole and Lovecraftian old ones, or the information stuck in there forever. and then
Lovecraftian old ones.
Exactly.
Word of the day.
Is the black hole a portal? The first call tonight, Robert was talking about how the black hole is probably like a sort of that NDE sort of portal situation, that when we pass, we actually go back into the black hole, and the information it's harboring in the singularity is us bringing our information back to it. And so no matter what, it's gobbling all that stuff up. But what are your thoughts on all this tonight? How you doing, brother?
Good. Yeah, sorry I missed the first hour, but everything I heard so far has been really, really great.
Right on.
This is a tough one. If you want to go the portal angle, we can definitely go down that rabbit hole for sure. I'm not sure if this has been mentioned yet, but the researcher, like the quantum physicist or whatever, Nassim Haramein, who talks about kind of like the unified theory of everything in his own way, where he believes it's all about portals. It's all on every level, fractally up and down on the line. It's all portals. So on like the super small level, all the way up to a black hole, obviously, and the black hole being at the center of galaxies and all that kind of stuff. So essentially, black holes representing like on and off for like the universe, like information on, information off, as if it's like potentially like we're living in some kind of simulation. Like if you want to go down that route, so potentially, from like the description you're reading like 20 minutes ago about how it was potentially storing all that information, it made me think, what if it's not storing information that happens, but what if it's like storing the potentiality of information, like the potentiality of the universe that can be rendered from the black hole? It's like rendering the game that we're living in. Like it's like the double slit experiment type thing where everything acts as a particle in a wave. If time doesn't exist the way we think it is, then all events that could ever happen are all happening at once, or have all happened, or whichever way you want to frame it. Could that potentiality be stored inside these singularities, you know? So if consciousness, potentially the driving force throughout the universe, with that double slit experiment, the observer is what creates everything. The observer is what turns the potentiality into something, into reality. So perhaps before it becomes reality, before it's observed by consciousness, it's being housed like inside black holes to be rendered later by us or by whatever observer throughout the universe, you know, but by consciousness itself, you know. That's not really portally, that's more just the information angle of it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I like the thought. So we actually haven't touched that. You're again broaching new ground. No surprise to you, right? but okay. So I like that we were talking about it in terms of these singularities harboring information. But so it's not just what was, because we're talking about in terms of time existing always. It also is that potentiality. I like it, including
what could be,
what could ever be. Yeah. So not only, right. And so we talked about a little bit about the micro macro tonight. And so they say one strand of DNA could basically take all the data in the world and still have room to fit more, right? It would be able to catalog all that information. So if you think, well, that's ridiculous. How could a singularity hold all the information that would ever happen or ever will happen in one point? Well, look at the DNA strand. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. So the potentiality, I love that. So,
in the idea,
go ahead.
Sorry, like in the idea of it them being around at the Big Bang, that's kind of how they describe the Big Bang. If you subscribe to that idea, is that all of the universe, all the energy that could ever exist, because nothing is created or destroyed, is being housed inside like at the head of a pin or whatever, just a small, like an infinitesimally small spot that it has everything in it, has all the potential in it. So what if like black holes are all like these mini Big Bangs that all just store the potential, the potentiality, the potential energy, the potential, I don't know, the pre-observed realities before they're rendered for us, to use like the simulation example, you know? But also like, there's probably old ones in these black holes too. There's probably some kind of Event Horizon thing going on. Cthulhu or the Outer Gods are trying to bust their way in, I would imagine, through these black holes. I bet there's like black holes that go to different things. I'm sure maybe there's black holes that act as these like reality rendering houses, devices, or whatever. These like these like singularity points, but there is probably black holes that act strictly as portals. There's probably black holes that act as like these like primordial dwelling points of these like old gods. I don't know. It's probably, I don't know. A lot of maybe juice, a lot of But
that's perfect.
For the last caller, I was calling in, so I didn't hear all of it. But when he was talking about like the liquid aspect of it, or like you're talking about like the mystical source waters, these primordial waters or whatever. He said it was more just like a liquidy thing, kind of like that, like kind of is reality. That's like kind of creating reality is what I got out of it. Which reminds me of like something that Terence McKenna once talked about. I think this is like a story from his brother Dennis McKenna, like after Terence had died. But apparently at one point, like later on in their life, they had taken like a super heroic dose of psychedelics or whatever, and they had like, he really blasted off or something, and he really saw reality, kind of like he got blasted into some other plane of existence. And he was saying that it seemed like reality was like cracking around him, and this like iridescent metallic-y liquid was pouring in. And the way he described it is if like this, like the reality is made up, is comprised of this like metallic-y iridescent liquid, and that's like, it's really a trippy idea, but just like on another plane, that's like what's creating the universe all around us. Like, and then we experience it as the 3D world. I wonder if whatever happened to Joseph, maybe he got a similar glimpse into some kind of like, I I don't know, like the artist painting like on a different reality, but like on some other higher plane, you know, like the cosmic paint of reality or whatever you want to call it.
Like I was saying, sort of like a find yourself trapped in a Dali painting. You're like, what the hell is going on around me? Machine elves and the whole deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nuts. And again, it's not like I laugh, but it's not to laugh at the experience. It seems similar in so many cases, like you said, Terrence McKenna and that whole DMT experience, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's like that psychedelic substance. It means that whatever that is that's being experienced is already embedded in us. That's just opening it up. So we can see it, you know. So it turns into a whole other thing. Nuts, man. I love the old ones. I mean, hey, if we're talking about old ones, bro, and we're talking about Cthulhu, what the hell else is a primordial black hole? From the very dawn of time. I mean, shit, right? That's got to be it. That's got to be it.
Yeah, these cosmic eggs that are housing these primordial monsters, or these like it gives me like Tartarus vibes, like the way they describe Tartarus as being like the prison for these titans or whatever. Like, I don't think that's a literal. I don't think it's like, and they describe it like under the earth or like under the British Isles or something crazy like that. That's not how I see it in my mind's eye. I almost see it as if whatever somebody a different age of man or some old sorcerers that ever pushed out these primordial beasts, these primordial old ones back to their like, or like inside some kind of, I don't know, some kind of like. I don't know, like they're trapped in there. It seems like they're trapped in there and they can't get out and they're trying to bust out and like I don't know. I'll post a meme in the chat afterwards. But
the cold ones in
when you accidentally crack open a cold one, but you crack open an old one by accident or whatever it is.
Like,
but it seems like that's these black holes that act as portals, obviously. So there's the information aspect, but there's also like the traveling from one realm to the other, and then fractally, I think that happens on our level, and potentially, I don't visualize portal per se as like a black hole opening when I think about somebody going through it, but I do think, back to the Nassim Haramein thing, that it's kind of the basis of reality, that in like a computer is all ones and zeros. Ones and zeros just means on or off, like information on, information off, open, close, portal open, portal closed. Like it's like the sine wave of like the cosmos, you know, the sine wave of the universe. I don't know, and it's so. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really rambling. Save me. Rivers wanted to mention something. You guys talk about the Akashic record, and Rivers is lingering, and she doesn't like to call in. But she would make an amazing caller. So I wish she would. But she was saying that the Akashic record is not an individual linear representation of history. There's not a library building somewhere. It's not like the activities of a person, but it's like the energies and emotions of a human. Like, it's not remembered in a linear fashion as pages in a book, but instead it's all grouped together. So like the Akashic record is like the collected energies and emotions of like humanity or whatever. So potentially like, it seems like a little different than the information storing aspect of it. Like it almost seems like it's some kind of, the way these black holes are described, that it's some kind of like cosmic cloud, like the way we would like store, like the internet store, like cookies, like our cache, like it's like that's where all the data is just kind of being stored somewhere, you know. And but I wonder, like, it makes you wonder for what purpose, for what is it, what would it be doing, why does the universe need to store all the information like that? You know, what do you think? Why would the universe need to store information in that way?
I would think so. So in terms of, let's say, even though the universe itself, a great comment, by the way, Rivers. Thanks for relaying that.
Yeah, Rivers is great. Rivers is awesome.
Absolutely. So I think in terms of like, if we're discussing the universe as, so you know, some say it's infinite, some say it's finite because we have the multiverse. But if we're dealing with like a finite space, then only so much material can be used at one point and one time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not unlimited material. So it would seem to me that if that's the case, and so in these singularities of these supermassive black holes, they're storing this data even in an abstract sense. Like instead, it's not linear time, like every single day in a slice of time, like we've described in the past. but instead it's like sort of a cloud of emotion, a cloud of a cloud of something. I think that it seems like it's a way to recycle that. So think about it this way, like Robert said.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
If in a near-death experience, or when you pass from this world, you go back into that gaseous whatever, and it dips you back into it. And so even though we came from that spot to begin with, it's a recycling. It like paints you, right, with that, and then sends you back. Right.
Yeah. It's like in the Matrix where they all go back to the source. They all have to go back to that physical light, that physical source. And then some choose to not, and then they become the paranormal things that haunt the Matrix. They become the vampires and the ghosts and the werewolves and stuff, the weird anomalies that exist in the universe. But like, yeah, I don't know. It does make me think that we're living in a simulation. Like whenever we get into the black hole information thing, it does give me the simulation vibe. That it seems like it's a video game where like you're right, like it's too big. Infinity is too big for it to all exist at once, and that like maybe the reason why consciousness seems to have that observer effect, double slit experiment thing where consciousness renders reality. It could be just it could serve like a functionary purpose where all reality can't exist at once, so that it's stored in potentiality just to save space, to save bandwidth. And then once you interact with it or observe it, then it becomes reality, from potential to reality. And that could be what is going on with these black holes. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm planted, is the potentiality thing. That's kind of that's where I'm going with this. I don't know. I like that idea.
Well, I think it has to be. Meaning that if it stores information from the past, it also has to take into account, again, because time exists in one space forever. So it has to have potentiality. I think it's just like literally you just brought the piece of this puzzle that I was missing for most of the night here, is that I think it is. I think it has to be. And like you've said before, what does that mean? Like what changes from, multiverse universe to each universe? Like, like we make the joke, there's a day stalker somewhere, and there's where that's the thing. Well, what changes those things? Like, I don't know, man. Like we find ourselves talking ourselves in circles and knots. I still have it all the time.
I was listening to something. I think it was Mysterious Universe last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. But they were talking about kind of like the multiverse, and I'm going to absolutely slaughter this. I'm going to butcher it. But how these potentialities sometimes, they're talking about something completely different. But how like multiverses could be stacked in like these trees, and it almost has like a shape to it. It almost has like kind of serving this. It was they were quoting this book, this researcher that was getting into the multiverse idea and how it could potentially work. Like what does it mean to have a moment branch off into multiple moments? Like which is a big question I have. Like what does that mean? Big moments, small moments? Is it just important stuff in your life that breaks off into multiple realities? Is it just like my job is different, like you said, like the day stalker? Is it like, or is it every single small moment? Is it like every micro moment? Is it if I drop something off a table, does it bounce in every single possible direction? Is it like, does that get you into infinity? And then like, so the way they were describing it is that it's almost like an algorithm. Is the way like I interpreted it, and that it's like chooses the function, like whatever act you put, whatever the consciousness does, whatever the observer does, is like activates like a function on the computer, and then it dips you into like this like stacked tree of potential realities for that one moment, and that like the universe is like comprised of these like interwoven tree stacks of information and potential information, which is like kind of I'm not really even sure how to picture that really, but the black hole kind of simplifies that for me, and like it stores into more what I think what might actually be closer to reality. Some kind of like I don't know, I'm rambling, but yeah, trippy stuff, really trippy stuff.
My life. Well, I'm like, imagine.
I don't know how you do it, Mike.
When you're rambling,
I really don't know how you do it.
Totally. Imagine when you're rambling, you're like, does anybody out there get me? And it's all crickets, and you're like, oh shit. Apparently, I've taken a step too far into the woods.
No. All great stuff. But yeah, it's all I really got, I think, tonight.
Okay. I appreciate it.
also
Everybody, please follow Night Stalker. He's got a YouTube channel. Scroll down. I put your YouTube channel link there. He doesn't have any content yet, but let's inspire his ass. Follow him. And the more follows he gets, the more he'll be inspired. Derek, you're the best. Thank you so much for spending time with us, bro. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Nice, man. All right, there you go. There you go. Fantastic stuff. And wow, right there you go. Blowing your mind, one caller at a time. That's what we do on this show. Like I said, so many brilliant people have been part of this since the very beginning. And like I said, we're blessed. I'm blessed. This community, you guys are incredible. Changing just the paradigm of a conversation in a few minutes. And that's what this is all about. So if you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. We'll put you on the show. And speaking of old friends that have been a part of this community for literally years, let's go to our good friend Kelly. Kelly, our very first caller on the show ever, still with us years later. Kelly in Colorado. What's up, my man? Welcome to the show. How are you doing? How you doing tonight? Hey. You cut out the beginning there.
Oh, I was just saying good evening. How you doing there?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Just listening to the show tonight.
Right on.
And I like it. Inputs and theories. Robert, Jennifer, Night Stalker, and who we was talking about earlier that we wish would call. But yeah, I just want to kind of bounce off all kind of what all they were saying too, like black holes, and that what Night Stalker was talking about with Nassim Haramein, right? With him, his theories are like the singularity, right? And he believes, like I posted a video on Discord's the general, and anyway, he talks about, and that's the video I wanted to show a few times, but it was this one talks about how he says if you have what it shows is like Earth-sized UFOs jumping into the sun, which the sun is they use the sun as a jump gate, like the dark spots of the sun, kind of like he says with black holes or even volcanoes here on the planet Earth. That if you had a UFO or a machine that could jump, that could have the engine or something, they could power it into a singularity, you'd be able to jump all over the universe. Just like Night Stalker says, it's just about more or less just about portals jumping around. But it's interesting what Robert and Jennifer were talking about, how the universe or black holes, just like, it does. Everything gets sucked up into a black hole, not even light can escape, right? So if it's doing something like that, it almost kind of reminds me of, like, say, like, some physicists, they believe that it's just, the universe is just one big computer system, and there's one physicist, exactly, his name is James Gates, and that's the one that believes that, that's not what he believes. When he went in through, they have these things called adinkras, and these adinkras would gather up information when they tear those apart through the fabric, looking through the fabric of space, time and space. They see that it's everything is made of ones and zeros, like a computer system. And if that's the case, you would think that, a black hole would be the port where, on a computer system, where it sucks everything up that you want to store into a hard drive, or, or like, let's say on a global, what people would call, the old stories of the, where you guys were talking about earlier, the cosmic egg. It stores everything in the cosmic egg, and once the egg is full, it breaks open and spreads the information around throughout the universe, kind of like what a black hole does anyway. It sucks everything out, and then they're trying to find the end of the black hole, which has all the information and everything that is information, which everything is energy, and it spreads it out through the universe. Now, if everything has happened like that, and you think of the universe as a big conscious brain, you would almost think that if this is the case with life, what Jennifer was talking about, you're gathering information, like you're saying, that the brain is an antenna, as part of this, it's just living out through what the universe has already gathered, and you're just, feeling, or how would I put it, like living the memories of the universe through your life.
Through you.
And after,
yeah.
So, and then after you die, that information gets, sent back, like everything is a wave, energy, vibration, frequency, like Tesla. Like, the beginning of what you're saying, everything gets stored back, gets sucked back into the, into the black hole. So it's just a perpetual thing where, say, like, it's all like that. If, your life is, you're living that, and then that energy goes back into it. So you're saying that what they could be saying that is that, say, the universe is a functioning brain, right? Like a living brain, and all the black holes are all the instruments to use to store all this information. Then every galaxy is just like a brain cell in the universe's, consciousness of gathering information. So that's pretty interesting thought about that.
Yeah, well, and it does seem to all be interesting that it's like science and it's woo and it's like speculation and it's time travel, and it's like I always joke that, like, well, if we talk about the multiverse and the nature of reality, and like how can you get like bigger and crazier and weirder than that, and then here we are trying to like find out what the hell a singularity inside of a supermassive black hole actually is, and then it takes all of that and then throws it in a blender, and then we're like, oh shit, here we are again. Don't know anything about anything again. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah. I'm with you. A lot of that stuff you're saying too is like, it's the science meets woo, right? It's that whole bit of, right? We came from somewhere, and when we pass on, we go somewhere, right? So literally the largest thing we can spot or even observe in the visible universe is, well, you guessed it, a supermassive black hole that seems to be eating everything in every galaxy, right? Something's up, man. Something's up. I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, it almost seems like their black holes are collectors and knowledge spreaders, where everybody's saying, so like from the beginning of time to like the highly advanced, maybe it, while it's spreading, because there's a guy that was a physicist, he talks about this called a wave, it's called wave energy and magnetic river, right? So if everything information is spread out from the end of a black hole and it's spreading information out on this magnetic river throughout the universe, but it takes, time, like, an age for this information to spread to a certain area of the universe, which would be like, our position of our planet. And then now that we're hitting into the age, we're getting all the rest of this information that is needed. Or at the time, whatever information that's being spread at the time from these black holes from the universe itself, which is pretty big topic that we're talking about right now, man. So yeah, you guys, this one's pretty crazy, because just like how you're saying, like you can't see past the event horizon, you never really know what's beyond that point. So who knows, So I don't know, man. That one does. It's a fun and interesting topic. It also makes my mind hurt, man.
Yeah, right. Me too. Check it out. What you just said. Now, this is crazy. There's a term for this. So because we can't see beyond the event horizon, there's the term is called cosmic censorship. It means that even if, let's say, the Akashic record itself existed in that singularity, right? That event horizon effectively, even if we had the most powerful telescope in the universe, it keeps us from seeing what's actually inside that black hole, right? Cosmic censorship. There's your term, bro. We're not allowed to see some things. We're not allowed to know, and there it is. What about the Tesla stuff? Do you think that so with all that we talked about, and again, Night Stalker, great stuff as always. With not just maybe the singularity inside of a supermassive black hole, primordial style, collecting information in the past, but also accumulating a potentiality of the future or multiple futures. Do you think that, like Tesla said, and I'll read this quote one more time, I think this is amazing and kind of ties this whole thing together. He said this: "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. And so my question to you is, I know you've heard this quote before, many of us have, because if you look into this stuff, that comes up often. Tesla was brilliant. Do you think it's possible for mere mortals to somehow tap into that, for lack of a better term, that Akashic record, that universal knowledge? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, we've had these shows about this too, where everybody is a receptor. It's just how we're using it, or how everything else, within our Earth, or within our lifestyle right now, with everything blocking it. Maybe those receptors are being blocked. Maybe they're using a different frame, or maybe now this whole 5G shit that they're coming out with, that is gonna another tool for them to help block our receiver of what all these knowledges are. Because if you look at, like we were saying in the, like I was saying, the old shows, for example, like the Gospel of Thomas, where they're talking about how, if you just with words too, or like you're how powerful we are, that we could say, move mountain and the mountain will move. Or even in the eastern part of the world, where they talk about enlightenment, and that is, or, the Akashic records, what people would call the Akashic records, Like I said, some of this stuff that's being sucked into these galaxies, because these black holes, they're pretty amazing, because it's not even light. I mean, all information, like everybody's talking about, through time, not just human life, but every life, all life through the universe and information is being sucked through these black holes. And we really don't even know exactly what we hadn't even pictured them. From the stuff we got now is like, from, what it looks like a picture of it, it was actually, sucking in stars or something, which all the energy from the stars, which looks like, they give it the round shape of what we would assume a black hole would look like. But, it's kind of like the darkest part of the universe is where, everything's being sucked in, where the whole thing of a black hole. But I don't know, man. I've seen also too, they've supposedly filmed where the first time ever they seen something like it was a light source of something coming out of a black hole. Now, I don't know if anybody's run across that story too, which would, I don't know, something like that. If we're saying that, from a singularity, kind of like, we go back to Nassim Harame's theory, where, a singularity into a singularity, that would be something, if we film that is truly something to behold, actually, if that was the case.
Yeah, I think so. Like this whole thing, to me, like I said, the science meets woo, and there's something here. There's something to it, man. With all that maybe juice, like you need a lot of maybe juice, but it's okay, right? It's okay, right? Yeah. I mean, I like that term kind of came about, but yeah, I mean, the information has to be stored somewhere, right? I mean, I think in general terms, it's like meaning energy, right? The energy just doesn't, right, like snap your fingers and vanish. It goes somewhere, doesn't it? So I think,
yeah, I mean, I think the same with that too, because like I said, if we're receivers, like you're saying, maybe that's where we're seeing when we talk about deja vus, or the glitch in the matrix, is that's what we were seeing in or even like if we can even take that into the paranormal aspect, where we think we're seeing ghosts. Maybe like I was saying, that it was when I seen that old man that I thought was a ghost, but it wasn't really looking at me. It was just looking at himself in the mirror. Maybe it was just like that at that time I was receiving, because he lived there, I was receiving his energy at that time, and at the moment in time where I seen him, or seen his memory, that I was receiving that, at that time where, everything was calm, but at the time, his energy, it was, seeing himself at the time. That's, when you put it like kind of like that, it almost kind of makes sense, man, with everybody's thought of, like, I was saying, like the physicist James Gates, I don't know, man, everything is, and if you store things, it would have to be breaking it down to the basics of ones and zeros, kind of like, you know, atoms and everything else. Well, but if we're just talking information, it would be like a computer system where in the, you know, it's all folded in the, you know, fabric of time and space.
Yeah, I do like, so I do, this is a whole completely other like spin-off to this idea, but the ones and zeros, and that, you know, like you said, a computer and that whole thing, right? If that's the case, right, we have a whole nother thing on our hands. And let me ask you, Kelly, I'm gonna tell you this: the simulation theory that we live in some sort of computer is not big enough to contain my ego. How about yours? I don't like that at all. Get that shit out of here, man. I'm not ones and zeros.
I know that. You know what? When I think about that, sometimes it's hard for me to really even think. Like, I mean, I'll be sitting at work, right, and I'll be doing what I'm thinking. But like, I don't. You know, if we're listening to the show, you obviously, you know, we're wired different, where we're not thinking about, like you're saying, who's the better singers or whatnot. But
yeah,
you know, for me, it was like, you know, sitting there and thinking about, like, how in the fuck is it possible that I am a part of a computer system when I feel that, and I know that I'm a conscious person, and I've seen what I've seen throughout my lifetime, and I've done what I've done, but yet it's just part of a computer system, or part of a living, breathing, massive, I don't know, like I said, maybe every galaxy is just a brain cell of this massive brain that like the whole, the big conscious living thing, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That, like I said, that shit hurts my brain, man.
I agree. But let me tell you though, so like the world has become so dumbed down, right? And I'm not saying we're smart. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that the conversations are low vibration, right? That's what I'm saying. Like I said, like I joked when we began, I don't give a shit what Nicki Minaj says. I don't care what Kim Kardashian is wearing. I don't care. I just don't fucking care, right? But this is where we're at, right? This is what entertains people, and that's okay. But if it literally consumes people, they're not thinking, they're not watching the stars, man. Yeah, Kelly, I guarantee you come to Vegas, right? We're going to be like, yeah, let's go have a beer at a bar, and then let's go watch the stars and talk. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're, it's just, that's the way it is, man. Like there's that, you know what I mean? There's that, I don't know. It almost seems like they're trying to shield us from that. They're trying to make sure that we don't try and ascend, right? Try and stare into the stars. Try and consider what may be, because by considering what may be outside of ourselves, it further defines ourselves, right? I don't know. There's a lot here, man. There's a lot to think about, a lot to talk about, which again, 3.5+ years later, here we are still talking about it. You're the best, Kelly. What else you got, my brother?
No, that was about it. You know, besides that, yeah. I mean, for me too, when we go down to Vegas, visit you, man, it'd be like, for me, it would be just taking a telescope out to the desert and want to check out some stars instead of, you know, doing that whole.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's fun to dabble sometimes, but man, like you're saying, like I listen to the radio going to work. I don't care what everybody's lives are. I don't care of what they're, you know, listening or what they're dressing like. That shit just don't. It never has for me in my whole life. It never has. I never got into like fashion, and I mean, yeah, I dress nice, but I'm not like into, you know, I'm not a shoe guy. I'm not into all that. No, that's all nonsense, man. It doesn't make that shit doesn't make who you are. It's just material type shit.
Yep. Amen. And I know just the spot. If you come to Vegas, you let me know. I know just the spot to go watch the stars. I got the spot picked. All right.
I'll bring my big one, the big telescope I got then.
Nice. Sounds like a plan. You let me know. I'm looking forward to it, brother. Kelly in Colorado, long, old-time friend of the show. As far as I can recall, the first caller we ever had, he's been in with us since. You're the best, my friend. Tell Michelle we said much love. Thanks for calling in. You're the best, bro.
All right, man. You guys take it easy.
Thanks, man.
Good night.
Thanks, man. You too. There you go. All right. That's the deal. We're as we wind this down, right? We're again, we got time for you if you guys want to be part of the show. We got a few minutes left, but we're talking about crazy stuff, right? We're talking about literally like as always, right? I seem like sometimes we have a conversation and I'm like, oh shit, we'll never go larger than that. But what happens is, well, there are different angles to that. There are different ways to look at the universe and the world around us. And, you can slice them in tiny pieces and then, well, somehow these tiny pieces become larger than the last conversation you thought you could never beat. So here we are. So I don't know. You tell me if you guys have an idea, or we're taking all calls. We're just hanging out, kicking it with our good friends and having a conversation about amazing things, including, well, of course, not just the nature of ourselves, but the nature of the universe at large. And, well, not the universe at large. How about the multiverse at large? That's the way this goes. That's Troubled Minds. And so sometimes we'll talk about Zuckerberg and the metaverse, which we talked about, well, ahead of all of the rest of the contemporaries, by the way. Wink, wink, we were way ahead of them. But then, of course, well, we're going to also talk about the universe at large. We're going to talk about the inner space. You guys ever saw that old movie in the 80s or 90s, whatever it was, with Martin Short? And what's the other guy's name? I can't remember his name. Inner space. It's the same thing, isn't it? Literally, it's the same thing. Like, think about it in terms of this. Like, I meant to mention this when Derek called in a little bit earlier. But some theories are that we entirely, our whole damn universe, everything we perceive, possibly visually anything, is stuck in that singularity in the middle of a black hole somewhere. You see? So if that's the case, like, again, infinitesimally small, but also so much larger than we can ever comprehend. Crazy stuff, am I right? Crazy stuff. So anyway, the way this goes is this. We're going to continue talking about this stuff because it's all over the place. Like I said, look, we got some new folks in here. Gonna shout them out. What's up, Hydro Hose? Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you for the call, Joseph. We got who else here? Was it? Let's see. Hold on. We got some other new folks here. Free TV. What's up, buddy? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here tonight. Look, we just click on the YouTube channel and scroll down and look at all the whack shit we talk about. We do, and it's not. It's like, look. It's take it seriously, but let's speculate. Let's try and figure, right? Let's throw some ideas out. Let's get together and talk. Let's be together and not give a shit about who's wearing what or who's in a fight with who. God, that stuff drives me insane. Like I've always joked about that. It's like, oh, all you need is a Twitter account and a bad attitude, and you're making news. You know why? Because you're calling this guy names. You're telling this person they're ugly. You're saying those person's shoes are stupid, and this, that. Fuck, really? Like, why? Like, how do we get here? How do we get here? It's just so leaves a horrible taste in my mouth. So here we go. We get Troubled Minds instead. And like I said, this has been the vision forever, is let's talk about larger things than who's wearing what shoes. There we go. All right. Appreciate it, Kelly. Let's go to our good buddy, Jay. Speaking of old friends of the show, what's up, Jay? Jay in New York. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm fantastic, Mike. Are we doing everything okay today?
Yeah, man. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I'm not using my regular headphones.
You were, bro, you were pro. You came in, no delay, no hearing myself back. You were like, bam, on the spot.
I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better.
Technology, man. Technology.
We were back with the ones that had the reel-to-reel on the tape cassette, go to, counter 64. But anyway, the black hole thing that we were talking about, it's like the scientists in the beginning, that you were reading the article there, it was like they're going into it. What kind of data are they getting out of it? They're saying that they can see it. How are they seeing it? Is it through, what ratio, Why aren't they really sharing that? The article was great and everything, but it's like, where's the technical data? It's always about the technical data. Okay, so you sent this telescope out there and you're checking out a black hole and you're saying that you can see the beginning of the universe in it. What brought you to that conclusion? It's just one of the odd things that, I think about the conversation of the show, and then everybody else calls it, and then we start talking about the reality of it. What does that mean for our soul and all the other things that we talk about all the time, and how we throw it in a blender. Just, I don't know. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's way out there, bro. It's way out there. That's okay, right? I think that's part of it. It's like you said, like you can't even get these types of conversations in, like, let's say church. No offense to church. Don't get me wrong. But, right, it's like there are still barriers there. There are still boundaries you can't cross because, you're becoming blasphemous, And I think that's the beauty. It's like, it's okay. Believe what you want. You can be religious. You can do all those things. And it's fine. And we can all get along, and it's all good. But let's talk about the universe at large. And I think...
Right. The spaghetti thing that never came up.
Oh, shit, that's right. Let's do that. The spaghettification. Let me do that real quick. All right, so here's the thing, right? So they say that when you go into a black hole itself... Let's see. Hold on. Where is this? I'm sorry, you're right. That totally never came up. Cosmic censorship we did. Into a black hole. Hold on. Let me find this. Let's see. Spaghettification. All right. There you go. All right, here we go. Here it is. I found it. Okay. Now, this is what we talked about earlier, and I said we get to this. Thank you for the reminder. See, this is what I'm saying. If you don't remind me, I've done this a lot. I'm like, remind me, we'll get there, and then we don't. All right, here we go. What would happen if you fell into a black hole? If it were a stellar mass black hole, this is from skyandtelescope.org. If it were a stellar mass black hole, you'd be dead before you passed the event horizon. That's because if you think of a black hole as a pit, a stellar mass black hole has steeper sides than a supermassive black hole. The tidal forces become too strong, too fast for you to survive to the event horizon, resulting in your spaghettification. Spaghettification. Yes, that's the technical term. There you go. So let's travel into a supermassive black hole, passing the event horizon. You wouldn't notice much, but as you drew closer to the singularity, gravity would stretch and squeeze you as if you were dough in a bread machine. At this point, you'd die. There you go. There's your spaghettification. Thanks for reminding me. Now you know.
Well, I mean, I look at it, one of the things that kept popping into my head through a lot of the calls that were coming in tonight was the picture of Tesla sitting there where he had the Tesla machine and the steel cage. And he's just like sitting there reading a book with all that electricity flowing around him and everything else like that. And then another thing I kind of started thinking about is Einstein and Tesla and all these really super duper guys back then, not necessarily now, all had like wicked crazy hair, is they picking it, that's where my mind was going with I'm sorry, I can't say it.
You can't even say it. Spaghettification. One day, think about it. One day, God willing, 20 years from now, we'll be doing Trouble Minds, and I'll have like Einstein hair. It'll be all white and like kind of cocked off to the side. Spaghettification. There you go.
I mean, I find myself getting the maybe juice a little bit better when my hair's all crazy.
Yeah, right. It's the I don't give a right. I'll just keep it family.
Yeah,
a little.
Exactly.
You're just like whatever. Like this again. This is right. The mortal shell, right? What about the immortality that surrounds us, right? In a good quote, right? Again, I can't remember who said this, but we spend more time dead than alive, so why worry about like this? Why worry about this?
Well, I mean. Then there's all the karma things and all of that. I mean, do you just move on to a different body? Do you go off and be part of the stardust in the universe? I mean, there's all that you can get into. The fact that it's holding knowledge, the topic that was going on there is that it's holding all the knowledge. I mean, it's all there, I mean, I find myself, there's things that I know how to do that I don't know how I know how to do them. It's just I can look at it and I can see it and I can do it, And I'm sure that's anybody. You have that in your job, Austin has that in his job. There's just things that you do your job, and there's things that you know how to do that you probably just picked up. How did you just pick it up? Is it all part of the greater point of the universe? Is that your little job? to be the observer, the doer, the whatever. I don't know, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm rattling on.
You're fine, bro. Look,
it's the end.
Welcome to my world. Imagine doing that for an hour straight and nobody calls you. You're just like, oh, shit.
I felt so bad I was going to call you to at least give you a chance to sip your maybe juice and stuff like that, but I was trying to download the video on YouTube, and it was like waiting.
It's okay. It's okay. I signed up for this, so it's okay. I'm just saying, like, I'm just equating, you guys go for about 5 minutes. You're like, oh, shit, save me. Oh, shit. Like, just imagine an hour. That's all I'm saying. It's okay. Again, we're having human experiences together. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So what do you think then? What about this theory about these primordial black holes collecting all the information all the information the universe ever would know or ever will know, potentiality, Night Stalker, and then being able to access that, like Nikola Tesla said. I'll put that quote up real quick and read that again one more time as we round this out. Nikola Tesla said this: "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." And interesting, he says core. And core seems to be the same, right? Imagine larger, smaller singularity of a black hole. It does seem to equate, doesn't it?
Kind of where we are right now. I mean, we all talk to each other. We have our ideas. We, sip the maybe juice, let our mind wander down a road, bounce ideas off of each other. We're the core. We're the little pieces of stardust floating down in there.
As suggested previously, I can't remember who exactly said this, maybe Jennifer, but maybe we are not conscious. Maybe the consciousness is always happening and sort of infusing into us, and we think we're individuals, but we're not. We're just, again, like it's been said before many times, the universe experiencing itself by kind of dropping those ideas into individuals. Yeah, crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. So what do you think about the Akashic record and all that? What do you think about all that stuff? Do you think there's any similarity?
Well, I mean,
or do you think I'm off the rails?
No, I don't at all. I mean, I think that all of the knowledge is probably accessible to us. The joke, the thought process that goes on about, the pineal gland and the calcification of it and DMT and all those crazy things that people are doing to enlighten themselves, cleansing and all of it. It's just, we want to know more because we know it. We have all the information in the universe. It's all stacked up inside of us because we are the knowledge of the universe. It's just how we get it out there to use it for, I want to be the guy that invented a cell phone, how do you pull that little piece out? It's, how do you pull the whatever out of it? How do you even learn about it? Remote viewing, that whole remote viewing thing keeps coming back to me. It's just, I think there are things that we can see that is so easy to do. It's all you have to do is jump in and do it. You want to learn how to be a cliff diver, first step, jump off a cliff.
Jump. Jump.
Step one.
Step
jump.
You're like, you waited too long. There you go. Off you go.
Yeah. Then there's the whole landing that you got to worry about.
That's a whole nother thing.
You'll figure out in the jumping part.
That's step 2. That's step 2.
Get step 2 done quick is my recommendation to anyone who's never been cliff diving before.
Right.
Have a plan.
Right.
But I don't know, Mike. I mean, brilliant conversations as always. You start off and you have your thought process going on. And it's like, okay, I got my idea on what I want to talk about when I call in and stuff like that. And then everybody else calls in and gives their idea. And it's like, holy crap, my idea is 15 different places down the road from where it was when it started. And that's what's great about it. And I think that's what one of the really super cool things that we can do is have these kind of conversations and talk about these kind of things, is that it's almost like it's expanding us, open to a different idea. It's not where I was really going with it, but I can really pick up what that guy's putting down, and I don't know. I think it's brilliant. I think it's even more brilliant as you give us a place to hide away from the crap.
Oh, come on.
Kim Kardashian.
You don't care what Kardashian's wearing this week? Come on. What's wrong with you, Jay? Come on.
She could walk up to me and look me dead in the face, and I wouldn't even know what she looked like.
All right.
To be perfectly honest with you.
God bless you, sir. God bless you, sir.
I mean, really. I mean, she could.
Yeah. Again, it's okay. I watch baseball, right? I'm a baseball fan. I play baseball. And some people will be like, sports ball. I get it, right? Like, we have leisure activities, right? When you kind of just want to be mindless and kind of just, enjoy something you enjoy. I get it, right? But, turning the whole world into that is a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. So it's all good. No judgment. Just an example. Just an example.
Well, I mean, that's important. What we're doing here is everybody wants to watch their, sci-fi Netflix or, read comic books or whatever. But the thing is, though, is it's like we're not getting super saturated with one thing. You look at people that are all they're involved in is the news and politics and things like that. They collapse on themselves. They're toxic. They hate that. They hate the fact that all these things are going on. And it consumes them. We have different conversations about everything every different day, just to let your mind wander a little bit. And I think that's important because it's like a great exercise. Like yoga for the brain.
Hell yes.
Calling and talking to Mike.
Hell yes. And it's probably the most important exercise, right? What did what's his name? Agent Smith said to Neo, I see you're still using all the muscles except for the most important one. Something to that effect, right? Of course, talking about his brain. Which is hilarious.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the creepiest things that I thought about that whole movie and the trilogy and everything else like that is 99% of the people, probably, 99.9% of the people are nothing really more than just a battery. That's what they were. All the people in the little pods, they were just the power portal for the machine that was giving them the algorithm that thought they had an actual life. That's the one thing that kind of creeped me out about the Matrix, that spotted out of the background.
100%. We were talking about the Matrix last night in the after party, as it were, which we have almost every night. And if you want to be part of that, well, what do you do, Jay? How do you become part of that?
You join the Discord.
Join the Discord. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, and it'll give you an invite. And it's Jay. Matter of fact, Kelly tonight, Night Stalker tonight. We're all on Discord. They hopped in the chat, and they're on the show with me, right, as we do this. But also, we do the same thing in a chat room. You can also type if you're shy and don't want to talk. But we have a voice room afterward that we all get together, and the show goes on. But it ranges far and wide. So if you haven't joined the Discord yet, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, get your ass in here. Let's see, where's the thing? Let's put that up, and there you go. There you go. Join the thing. Troubledminds.org. Come say hi. Come meet amazing people. Like I said, there's literally only one rule. Literally only one rule. Just respect everybody else. Don't turn it into a who's right thing. Right? That's it. Don't be a douchebag. One rule. That's it.
We always tell the kids, don't be a juice box.
Don't be a juice box. Don't do it. Don't do it. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Jay's here regularly. My mom says hi, Jay. And there you go. My mom's out there listening.
Good.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mrs. Right. Or what is it? It would be Mrs. Strange, right? Hello, Strange. Mrs. Strange. It's a pleasure.
We'll say Mrs. Strange. There you go. That'll work. Other than the other Mrs. Strange, then we have a problem. But all right, let's wrap this up, Jay. Let's get the hell out of here. I don't know, man. Like black holes, like I said, this is one of the ones we kind of haven't tackled. And it wasn't even really about black holes, was it? It was more about where the information, the whole universe stores, where that information gets stored. And then, if possible, can we actually access it? I don't know. Like I said, we'll probably get to black holes at another point because as these amazing articles hit the news cycle, like I said, I watch the news cycle like a mofo. And by the way, Night Stalker can vouch for me. They're chasing us. The other competitors out there, they ain't got shit on Troubled Minds because we're a week or 2 weeks ahead of all the guys, all the people out there. So by the way, we are now the tip of this spear because of you guys. Because we're looking, we're thinking, we're seeking, and we're trying to be true. And here we are. Let's do this. Let's do this, Jay. Let's get the hell out of here. What do you got, brother? I'm sure you got something for us tonight. What shall it be?
I don't know if I can compete with Nikola Tesla because I'm just coming out with Charlie Chapman. But now, go.
Go right ahead, sir.
Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Magnificent thing. Even to a jellyfish. The trouble is you won't fight. You've given up. But there's something just as inevitable as death, and that's life. Think the power of the universe, turning of the earth, growing of the trees, that's the same power within you, if you only have the courage and the will to use it.
Yes, sir. Who said that? Who said that?
Charlie Chapman. Charlie Chapman
with the mustache and the little
the little hat. Yeah, barred from the United States for like 25 years, dude. I clicked I saw the comment, through the Facebook, and I took a screenshot of it so I could save it. And then the whole rest of the day, all these Charlie Chapman facts were coming up. That dude was, he was a pretty. I learned a lot about him. It's time to let the dog out and all that whatnot. Go on for another hour. What I learned.
Who let the dogs out? It was us, Jay. It was us.
Mike better.
We let the dogs out. She's got a doggy door and a light. She's good, bro. She's good, bro. All right, I appreciate it. Look, this is what I'm saying, right? This is not about me. This is not about you. This is about us. And you got to get it right. Like, get with it. Get with the program because it's not singular. It's plural. The future is plural, and it starts with us. And that's what it is. Making friends, and you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much. Like I said, you make this show tenfold, 1,000-fold better, and that's what this is all about. Like I said, thank you again for all of you for bailing my ass out on a nightly basis. Your amazing thoughts, taking these conversations to areas I never even considered. There's shows we start in one spot and finish in a completely other spot, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's one of those things that makes you go, wow, how did that even happen? Well, and yet here we are. Like I said, as we finish, I'm me, you're you, but together we're us. And that's a very powerful thing. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, all the callers tonight. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for all the chat. If you want to help the show, just fire up the podcast. Listen to some old episodes that you haven't heard. There are commercials in there. Pennies help. Pennies pay. Pennies help. And economy of scales, all that stuff. If you want to actually support the show with cash money greenbacks, support the show on Twitch, support the show actually on Patreon or Rockfin. There are ways to sign up directly and just send us some money each month. If you don't, that's okay. Look, it's not about that. It's about us. That's what this is about. The more resources we get, the larger we can grow. And like I said, there are challenges to that, but I'm up to that challenge. If you are too, I'd like for us to take that journey. So let's do it. Let's do it together. We're out of here. Troubled Minds. Thanks for listening. We're our Troubled Minds to yours. Have a great night. Come join us on the Discord.
Be sure, be strong. You got to say it, Mike.
Be true. Thanks, Jay. Have a great one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. All right.